Hey, everybody. What's going on? Has everyone gained 10 to 20 pounds because of Thanksgiving yesterday?
We've been keeping it under control, actually.
Yeah, I had one plate.
Yeah.
Okay, and admittedly, I did have a couple pieces
today
of
you
pumpkin
had one
pie.
plate.
Today I had one plate.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday I also had one plate.
Yeah.
I had one plate yesterday. Now, I did have, like, some pie later.
Yeah, and our plates weren't that piled.
But that's all I had.
Yeah.
And then today I just had one plate and that's all.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot on it, but it's not like I had a big plate and then had seconds and then went back later. I didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't a normal...
I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, my stomach's not gonna.
It wasn't the normal fucking buffet.
Because I didn't want to just, like, go in a coma afterward.
Yeah,
you know what I
happen.
mean? Because... And, well, it's not just that. It doesn't just make me tired. It just, like, gives me a stomach ache. It makes me feel kind of, like, nauseated.
Yeah. We kind of been on calorie restriction kind of diets in a way, and our stomachs have kind of gotten a little bit smaller than they were. We used to be able to eat all that, but if I ate that plate was enough. That one pretty much, it put me to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then the day before, like I said, because, you know, I think like a lot of people... you know, the day before Thanksgiving, if you're cooking at your house, like, usually it's like, fuck it, let's just order food out, like, get a pizza or something, because you can't cook anything in your kitchen.
Right.
So we actually went and got Chinese food, and I used to be able to eat, like, you know, the little meal they give you, like, for the Chinese food, but I couldn't even eat that.
Yeah.
I ate, like, half of it a little bit, and then I was just kind of like, I'll eat the rest of it later.
Yeah, we were like, oh, shit, next time we'll just split one.
Yeah, we should probably just split it next time. And
10,
I mean, if you
45 for two people, that's not bad.
And I mean, if you wanted like something a little extra, you could even get little sides, like a little soup or some shit like that, or like an extra egg roll or something. That would be plenty, I feel like, because the plate is it looks small, but when you open it, man, they pack it full.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like it's a lot, and it's a lot of rice, and it's a lot of meat.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah, they're generous.
They are, yeah.
That General Tso's chicken's almost all chicken.
Yeah. And I got sesame chicken.
Sesame chicken, and the orange chicken is just like the General Tso's.
Yeah, orange chicken's good too.
Yeah, we ought to get that because we both like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the sesame chicken. It's probably similar to General Tso's. It looked like.
It's not hot though, because I can't. Like I said, I can't eat stuff. I can't do hot anymore.
I'll just sprinkle damn red chili flakes on it.
It just tears my goddamn
stomach.
Well,
General Tso's isn't hot either.
It says on the menu it is.
It didn't come with any red chili on it.
Oh. I don't know. Like, I kind of like that, but it's not my favorite. I mean, normally I would get... I usually like kind of like the weird shit. Like, I don't like egg foo young and like shrimp and vegetables.
Yeah, I like those too.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, egg foo young's good.
I love it.
Chinese omelet.
It's so good. Like, that sauce on it's good. Remember that place?
Gravy. I remember I made that.
Yeah, that's right.
I made that before.
And remember that place that used to be by our old house? What was it called? Lee's Palace?
Yeah.
They had really good egg foo young too. Like, I got it there a bunch of times.
Yeah, egg foo... The gravy was just like... pork bouillon. Was it pork or was it beef? Might have been beef bouillon.
I think it's beef bouillon.
Beef bouillon.
It tastes kind of beefy.
Nothing more than just cornstarch base. It was just cornstarch and water, beef bouillon, and that was it, if I remember correctly. And I think it had either 5 spice in it or white. I think it might have had white pepper.
Yeah, probably
white pepper. I think. And easy to make. Everything in the Chinese fast food is easy. It's all easy. You think it's exotic. It's not. You laugh when you see what they're making that out of. Like sweet and sour, that's nothing but just... you take soy sauce and garlic and ginger, and you cook that a little bit, and then you put ketchup in it. And then pineapple juice. And a little bit of the maraschino cherry juice, and a little bit of cornstarch slurry, and it turns into that sauce. That's all it is. And then you add your vegetables and you know, which is like green peppers, and then maraschino cherries and a little bit of pineapple, and you pour that over basically fried chicken or fried pork. That's all it is.
Or fried shrimp.
Or fried shrimp.
Yeah. Yeah. Although I have to say that the ones that the sweet and sour that you usually get at Chinese restaurants, like takeout, I mean, I don't even think it doesn't have. I always thought that was just like fucking corn syrup with red food coloring.
Which one?
Like when you get sweet and sour chicken at like a Chinese takeout, and it's just like that thin red.
It's just what
sauce.
I told you. Sometimes they don't put the soy in it, and the garlic and the ginger.
That's what I'm saying. So I thought it was just
ketchup,
kind of like right.
Vinegar. See, I forgot to add vinegar. Ketchup, vinegar, and juice. pineapple juice with thickening agent. That's it.
Yeah.
It's made out of nothing. That's why they can charge what they charge and give those portions. That stuff doesn't cost anything if you buy it in bulk. Not in this country.
Well, and like I said, it's kind of like the Chinese takeout by our just up the street from our house. It's like a good deal because you get a lot of food for $10.50.
Yeah.
And it's really enough for 2 people, or if you're just one person, it's enough for 2 meals. Like I think it's enough for lunch and dinner.
The a lot of the stuff that makes Chinese fast food taste so different, it's not the ingredients, it's the fact that it's cooked in a wok. And woks, are very high temperature frying, in a pan. And they use wok tools, which are like little screens and fucking like a little metal net. I forgot what you call it. Not even a slotted spoon.
Like a sieve?
More like a sieve. They're using that. They're using a big old spoon-looking thing to stir, like a huge wide spatula. And you just to make that egg foo young, it was just beaten eggs, I think a little bit of water. I think it's watered down a little bit, and there might be some seasoning in it.
I think there's green onions in there.
Might be green onions, and there's some kind of little vegetable mix that they're going to put in there, and they're going to throw that into a super hot wok, and as it solidifies, they throw a bunch of bean sprouts on top of it and flip it over, and it just, as soon as it starts floating and it's brown on either side, they pull it out and throw it in there. Any ingredients that they're going to put in there, like the shrimp and the chicken, it's already pre-cooked. They just throw it in there, make it an omelet. It's all, and put gravy on it, put it next to rice.
Nothing wrong with that.
Chinese omelet.
I mean, to be honest, I love eggs. I could eat eggs. Well, actually, when I lived by myself and didn't have much money, eggs were cheap, you know what I mean? And so
nutritious.
Yeah, and I would just kind of I'd go all week, and I would just kind of have all I'd have was a couple dozen eggs and a thing of bread. I would just come home from work in the middle of the night and fry up a couple of eggs and put it with toast, and that'd be dinner.
That's why you weighed 125 pounds then.
Well, yeah, because that's all I was eating. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I did eat some
other.
You were
cute though.
Well,
you were about 125, I think, weren't you?
I went down to 118.
118.
But like I said,
that was too light. She got too skinny for a bit. Yeah. I always thought you looked better around 130.
Yeah, my goal, my ideal weight, I feel like is 135. Yeah. That's when I felt like I looked the most.
Put some shape on.
Normal.
Yeah.
Because I felt I liked being really, really skinny, but then I thought I looked strange.
You dudes want to know what she looked like at 130? Just look up Angela White. She looked like Angela White.
He's always comparing me to.
Yeah.
Comparing me. Yeah.
You look.
I'm not drunk. I promise.
Yeah.
I just can't talk.
Cross between Angela White and Sophie D. That's what she looked like.
Zach says, "Aren't eggs bad for cholesterol?"
No.
Not as much as you might think. I mean, the thing about it, here's what happened. I had really, really high cholesterol back in the day. I was, a lot overweight. I was probably 200 and... How much did I weigh at my... I was 220, 230, something like that. At my highest weight. And my cholesterol was off the chain, which actually runs in my family. High cholesterol. My mom has it. My grandma has it. Everybody on that side. So they were basically well, you need to get your cholesterol down or else. And they were going to put me on, what's that fucking cholesterol? Lipitor.
Oh, shit. That's just
and
terrible.
Yeah, and my mom had been on it and my sister had been on it. And they're don't go on that shit. It just makes you feel like dying. And I was just kind of yeah, I'd rather, well, I don't like to take things anyway. That's just the way I am. And I don't usually have to. And I just got used to not doing that. So I'm yeah, I think I'd rather not, even though my doctor was I really think you should, but I was no, I'm not going to. I said, I'll try to get it down naturally. And what I did was, now I did cut out, a lot of meat. I still ate meat, but not as much. And usually I'd eat chicken, turkey, fish, stuff like that. I didn't eat as much beef. I cut that way down. I did cut down on eggs. I mostly cut down on dairy. And another thing that helped a lot was eating oatmeal every day, in the morning, and eating oatmeal and grapefruit juice. I did that for 5 months, and my cholesterol went way down. Yeah. Just from diet. I wasn't doing anything else different. I didn't take any... And that it doesn't work for everybody, because some people, it's just, it's... Because I know that some people have tried to do a diet, it doesn't work. It just depends on the person. But it worked on me.
If you go on YouTube, just Google, or just search for The Rock's trainer, and his name is Dr. Tamazi. I think it was almost like my name, and I think he's an American guy though. And he's a doctor. He's jacked, though. He looks good. He's a sports medicine guy. And he'll tell you that the problem is not food. The problem is Americans. Americans are sedentary. They just sit all day, mostly. They're not doing what you were evolved to do, which is work hard all day trying to find food and kill shit, or fucking working all day at a farm trying to plant food. And so, no, you can eat eggs. You can eat dozens of eggs if you are active. Your cholesterol is no problem.
Well, and the thing about it too, I kind of feel like another thing that's a problem with Americans particularly is that I don't think it's so much the food, it's the portion size. Because if you go to, like, you know, when I was in Europe and stuff like that, they eat like fattier food than we eat, but they don't eat as much of it. And they walk around more, and they're doing more of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Whereas Americans will eat a lot more at one meal than
sit there,
and they don't like move around as much.
Americans are fat asses compared to the rest of the world. Look at the Chinese or the Koreans. You know, they're very slender. Now, or at least they were when I lived there. I lived in Korea. And I heard that they're starting to get kind of Western diets and Western lifestyles of sitting around on damn devices all day, which that's not the way they were when I was there. And they're getting fat people. But fat people are kind of unusual, and you know, that's something you only see in rich civilizations. They have a lot of technology. Because most people have to go out there and fucking work all day. They can't afford this fucking cheap food, and their civilizations don't have cheap food. Or it's cheap food, but they're not making enough to buy even cheap food, you know. A lot of places are kind of like places like Pakistan. You know, they don't have enough money for even cheap food, a lot of them. So they're working, and they're slender. Well, they can eat anything, you know, because they're very active. But he goes... That trainer, he'll tell you that even portion size is not a problem if you're doing weight training and doing hard work and you're working every day. He says weight training, you know, even more. If you want to lose weight, weight training is even better than any aerobics, because you're only burning calories when you're doing the aerobic exercise. When you're weight training, you're burning the calories for fucking 24 hours a day, because you're trying to recover from all that tearing that you did of muscle tissue. So I go out there and work for fucking not even a half hour. Most of it's recovering in between shit I do. I'll be in my little gym here for a half hour, an hour. And if you were actually to condense it down to how long I was actually lifting, 10 minutes maybe total. And then I'll spend 2 days trying to heal up from that. And I'm burning fat the whole time, trying to rebuild. You start throwing in fucking anabolic agents, it's even fucking more intense. It'll just take fat right off you. Some of them, depending on what it is that you're on. But, you know, that's something when you're older. When you're young, if you're under the age of 30, you should be able to do that just with weight training. You really shouldn't need any assistance, you know. But that's all it is. Aerobics is good at some things, you know what I mean? It does burn calories. It does take a little bit of fat off. It's just not as effective as other stuff that's out there. And you don't want to diet. Diets sometimes will just slow the metabolism down, which will make you hold on to the fat. Now, you can go into starvation mode, but you'll lose fat. You'll lose muscle first, and then you'll lose fat. The best, what he was recommending is actually eat normally, and just do a little bit of weight training. You'll lose a bunch of fat.
I noticed that one of the easiest times that I lost weight was when I was in the UK. Even though I was eating way fattier food than I would normally eat, because I was eating, like, you know, Cornish pasties and fish and chips and stuff like that. But I walked everywhere.
Yeah, and how old were you during those times? 20s, right?
No, 30s.
30s? Yeah, that's still pretty young. Yeah.
But that, because you had, like I said, I didn't have a car when I was over there. And like I said, it's much more of a walking culture. Even if you have a car, you drive to the city center and then you walk around all day, like doing your shopping and shit like that, and then go back to your car at the end of the day.
Same as Boston.
That's what I mean. So it's kind of like, that's why you see, you know, that's why you don't see, I mean, well, the thing about it, like over there now that they have the same like fast food and shit like that as us, and their portion sizes are still not, well, they're still not as big as ours. I did see a video the other day that was comparing portion sizes in like McDonald's to America to Europe, and their portion sizes are still significantly smaller than ours.
Yeah.
You know, so we probably eat like way more than we should be eating.
Those German girls that I was hanging out with when I was up in Boston were tripping out over fucking portion size. You went to Chili's and they were just they couldn't believe.
Yeah, every European that I've known, like when they came and ate at a restaurant, they were just like, "What the fuck? Like this is like 3 people's worth of food," which technically it is.
And really none of us could eat it. I think it was Chili's. It was the one that had she got that damn bloomin' onion. What was that? Where it's
bloomin' onion was? Oh, that's one of the steakhouses. Isn't that Outback?
Might have been.
Is that Outback or? Is it?
But I don't know. I don't know if it was the bloomin' onion or a copy of a bloomin' onion. It was like that.
Yeah, because a lot of them
had that
now because that was so iconic.
I think it might have been Chili's or something. I don't think it was at Outback. And we went out to a couple of them over a period of days, and they realized that they were all about that size. And I was just like, yeah, they're all competing with one another. Whoever hands out the most food for the most money is going to get all the customers.
Well, shit, man.
They don't pay anything for that food.
Yeah.
Those corporations don't, get great deals on that shit. Like there's no difference. They could give you 3 times the amount, and it really wouldn't cost them much more.
I was thinking the other day because I saw a commercial for how Olive Garden has that never-ending pasta bowl sometimes.
Yeah, oh man, that'd get you fat.
And it's just kind of like, well, honestly, I'm sitting there thinking, well, they also give you like the unlimited salad and breadsticks too. Yeah. So I'm just sitting there going, how much? I would be interested to see like after you do breadsticks and salad, even if you don't get extra breadsticks and salad, if you just eat like what they bring you,
you can't eat much of that.
And then it's like, how much pasta can one person actually eat?
Not much.
You know what I mean? It's like, look, I love pasta. I'm not saying that. But it's like, once I ate like one bowl, like especially if I had to have salad before, I probably want to throw up. It's like, it's too much.
You can't eat that much of it. It's real filling.
I'm like, I'd be interested to know if like people could actually go back and like get even more pasta, like never any. But does anybody take advantage of that? And
it's
get, like,
real
3 or
fattening.
4?
It's all carbs.
That's what I'm saying.
Real fattening.
That's what I'm saying. I love pasta. It's delicious, but I can't eat that much of it.
You see, like back in Italy when a peasant wouldn't eat very much of that, you know what I mean? A small bowl, and that was a whole meal, that would keep them going all day. They're probably drinking beer and wine on top of that too. And maybe like a piece of fish, wrapped up piece of lettuce, maybe some olive oil on it and some herbs. It wasn't these fucking mega huge fucking
like
Italian
a bowl
American
big
salad bowl filled with like a whole fucking 2-inch fucking.
It looks good. I'm not saying that. Like I said, I love pasta, but
3,000 calories of fucking pasta.
I think it's more than that. Actually,
probably 5,000. Probably.
I mean, it would be fine if that's all you ate for like a couple of days.
Yeah. No, there's no nutrition in it.
No, I'm just saying calorie wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no nutrition in it really.
Well, if you got one that had like other stuff in it, like cheese and veggies and some meat and stuff, then that would be.
It's equivalent to it's just bread.
But
it's just like eating bread. You take a fucking whole loaf of bread and smash it down into a bunch of little things, and that's basically it.
Bread. Like I said, I don't think I could ever go on that, like, because some people are just like all no carbs and everything like that. I know carbs will like put fat on you faster than anything, but I'm never gonna like give carbs up. I don't mind like not eating them as much.
Well, you can't. Because there's carbs in everything.
That's
basically.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
When it comes to fast food, you can go to McDonald's or you can go to Burger King, and as long as you just get a fucking hamburger, and don't get the French fries and don't get the soft drink. I don't even trust diet soft drinks, and just eat that hamburger. That's actually not all that.
It's not that bad.
Not that bad.
As long as you don't get one that has like 40 bajillion things and sauces and all that kind of crap.
It's got everything you need. It's got a little bit of carbs. It's got protein on it. It's got vegetables. Some flavor.
Well, I always kind of like the more club type sandwiches. Yeah. Like some about like the chicken sandwiches with like tomatoes and lettuce and shit like that. It's like now I will say Burger King in particular is bad for this. They put too much mayonnaise on stuff. And I love mayonnaise, okay? I'm not saying that. But they're a little heavy-handed with the mayonnaise, at least when I go there. And sometimes like McDonald's, as much as I love the fish sandwich and as much as I love tartar sauce, I feel like they're a little heavy-handed with the tartar sauce on the fish sandwich. I think that's why the fish sandwich that's like the double fish, that's why I think it's better, because there's a better tartar sauce to fish ratio.
Yeah, the double fillet of fish.
Because the single one, I always feel like there's a little I like them, I get them sometimes, but then it's like a whole other layer of tartar sauce and it's too much. I have to scrape some of it off.
The thing is that the double fillet of fish has got that breading on it, and that's a lot of calories on it. you're probably better off just with the hamburger. I wouldn't.
Well, yeah, if you look at the calories
Yeah.
count, generally, if you get a burger like without cheese,
Yeah.
like even if you get a double burger, because it's just like bread, vegetables, and meat. It's
Well,
like
actually,
not.
the cheese that they're using is not cheese. The cheese they're using is
It's a cheese product.
yeah, it's
cheese
what we would
adjacent.
call American cheese or Velveeta. It's whey protein, so it doesn't even. It's good for you. So it's probably nutritionally better than the meat, which a lot of people have a hard time come to grips with that. But American cheese is not cheese. It's
No,
whey
it's not.
protein.
Yeah, it's not cheese.
And that's why they give it out, fucking welfare, food assistance and stuff. They give out them big old blocks of government cheese. Because that's more like a meat. That's a protein. You put a bunch of that. You know how in Idiocracy they would just put it in a bowl and eat it with their fingers. Remember that movie Idiocracy? They were just eating it. That would be that's like something a bodybuilder would do. Because that's pretty high protein. And the calories are kind of low for what it is. So it's not going to add that much to that burger. The worst thing on that hamburger is the bread. Because that's a lot of calories, a lot of carbohydrates in that, for its size. Probably the most nutritious thing in there would be that quarter pounder. The double quarter pounder, if you ate just that double quarter pounder, that'd be pretty good. It'd be pretty...
Yeah, it's
good meal.
fairly balanced. I mean,
Yeah,
for a
pretty
fast food
meal.
food, like
yeah.
it's it's not ideal, but if that's like all you got, then
There's a lot of protein there.
yeah.
The calories are not that high. And it's going to say, 1,100, 1,200 calories. They're talking about the French fries and the soda with that, too.
Yeah,
That's
the
where most of
sandwich itself.
it's not that bad.
I can't remember because I used to look up the calorie things like just out of curiosity. I think just a regular quarter pounder, maybe 300-400 calories,
not that
something
much.
like that. It's maybe it's more. I can't remember, but it's not that much. I was surprised at. Yeah, but when they say, I like that they have the calories on there, but usually the calories for the whole meal, they're saying, you're going to get French fries on the side, and you're going to get soda and blah,
and
blah,
that's
blah.
where it's all is.
And
man.
that's where most of the calories
French fries
are.
are the killer. That's fucking all
Which
carbs.
is a shame because I fucking love French
yeah,
fries.
and McDonald's got good French fries.
They really do have good French fries.
But
I mean, and if we go to McDonald's, which we don't usually, and especially not now because there's not one around here, but I'm gonna get some fucking French fries. God damn it!
If you're not a teenager or you're just not jacked on fucking anabolics, that's gonna go straight to your waist. Your
Probably.
metabolism got to be fucking running to take potatoes and turn that into something like flesh. It's gonna want to become fat. And then the soda, and I think even 0 calorie. I don't believe a 0 calorie fucking diet soda. I read a thing saying like, your body responds to that the same as it would be if it was sugar anyway.
well, Zach is saying, aren't diet sodas actually worse for you than regular
I think they
ones?
might be.
I'm not sure if they're worse necessarily, but it's just kind of like I don't know. To me, it seems like not worth it. Like I said, I'm not a big soda fan.
I love them.
Tom's
I
really
love 'em.
into them, and like every now and then he'll get a wild hair across
Yeah,
his
I gotta get
ass,
some 2 liters,
and he'll
man.
go get like some 2 liters or like
Yeah.
stock up on those.
Yeah.
Like he'll go to Winn-Dixie and get the Czech cola or the Publix brand or whatever.
I'm not gonna spend more than $1 for a 2 liter.
But I don't drink any of them.
Yeah.
I don't.
And
Every now and then I like them, but honestly, if I'm drinking out of the can, like I'll have a sip or two, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
But it's sugar. Well, it's sugar.
Yeah.
And I suspect I get the diet ones because they're not quite as sweet as because I don't like that corn syrup. I like Mexicans drinks because it's cane sugar.
Cane sugar.
It's
yeah.
a lot better.
A lot of people like those better. It does have a better flavor.
It's a lot more mellow, and it's mellower.
Yeah, it doesn't have that weird sharp.
Yeah, and it's got more of a base flavor to it. It's not as sweet. It's more kind of rich in a way.
It's more broadband.
Broadband.
The
yeah.
flavor's more broadband.
That's a good way to put it. And I think sugarcane is a lot better for you. It's a lot easier to digest. You don't have so much of an insulin response to that. Corn syrup, you have a massive insulin response against that. And it's that insulin response that's telling your body to store things as fat. It's like, man, this is a dangerous substance. We got to get this out of the system. Store it. Let's hide it. That's what it's trying to do.
Let's stick it over here.
Stick it over here.
In this person's ass.
Yeah. And walking around with real high insulin levels is not good for Caucasians. We really didn't. And same thing with black people. We didn't really evolve to have high insulin levels. Now, Japanese and the Chinese, any of them civilizations that were built on rice, they have a much better insulin response and a tolerance to insulin, which allows them to digest rice. And that's a fact, okay? That's why they can eat rice and not gain a lot of weight on it. And they have very low diabetes, all right? Black people are even more susceptible to diabetes than white people because they are even less tolerant to having high insulin in their system than white people. It's just kind of like a fade from black to white, probably Hispanic too, and then into Asian. Asians are real insulin resistant, and they make a lot of insulin and it doesn't fuck them up, so they can digest rice. Anybody who couldn't do that died thousands of years ago.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why it's been, because that's been part of their diet for like such a long time.
Thousands and thousands of years, right?
Well, it's just kind of the same thing with like, milk. How like a lot of people that are lactose intolerant because
Nordic people and white people can fucking just
digest milk, but a lot of the rest of the world cannot, because normally you lose that ability once you are weaned. Zach says, you ever hear of Tropical Smoothie Cafe? Yeah, we have some down here. I've never been to one, but we have them. They're a healthy food type restaurant, but their stuff is actually really delicious. Yeah, I've never been there. One that I used to like, that it was sometimes in mall food courts, and it was in our closest mall, which is like 18 miles away, but was in the Altamont Mall, was Nature's Table. They mostly made smoothies, but they had like really good sandwiches and soups and stuff too. But last time I was there, they had closed, unfortunately.
You talking about what's healthy?
Well, he was talking about Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Okay, yeah.
I've never been to one. And Zach said, I also really love Panera. Yeah, I really like Panera too, and McAllister's. Panera, I don't know if they have it anymore, but they used to have this fucking fantastic mushroom, like, panini. That was like there was no meat on it. It was just like cheese and tomatoes and stuff like that. I think it was mozzarella. And it had like this big ass fucking mushroom on it, almost like it was like a pat of meat. Oh my God, that shit was delicious.
Yeah, those restaurants are all good. Even that smoothie stuff's good. I'll fucking love that. But that's all real sugary when you think about it. Fruits are fucking, you have calorie problems with that. And then Panera, everything's bread and cheese and creams. Yeah, it's good. But man, that's... It's fattening, and
it is, but
it's fattening. The cleanest meal you could get out of a restaurant is like a high quality Chinese buffet. Just don't get the noodles, don't get the rice. Focus on the boiled shrimp and the meat, and you have the sauces and everything. You can eat a lot of that. Cause just steal some protein. I mean, you went in there, you punish them for having a buffet. Don't try to fill up on rice and bread and fucking egg rolls and all that crap. They want you to buy that because it'll fill you up. But that's where all the fat's going to come from. Go straight to the meat. And it's okay if it's deep fried because it's going to have some carbs on it. And then I always get some of the damn crab rangoons. I can't resist them.
I always get at least one of those.
Yeah, I can't resist them. All right.
Usually I'll just get one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the only thing.
Yeah, I would get like 2. All right. And then I'm going to get the sauteed mushrooms. Remember, they eat a bunch of those.
Yeah. I like the pepper steak because that's just meat.
Pepper steak.
That's just meat, peppers, and onions. That's really good.
Yeah, and then the one with the still have chicken, special chicken breast with broccoli. Eat a lot of that.
Yeah.
All the
I like all their
shrimp.
I like all their fish stuff.
Yeah.
Like, because it depends on the day that you go, but sometimes they have more fish stuff than others.
Yeah, and if they got the crab legs out for the extra $4, $4 or $5, you get those too, and then just eat crab. And but there's been times when we've gone there. We went to Koi Wan, and I think I pretty much only ate shrimp. And I punished them. I probably ate 4 or 5 pounds of shrimp.
Yeah, I'll eat shrimp and like some of the little oysters. They're not raw oysters. They're
mussels actually.
They're mussels. I mean, yeah,
steamed mussels.
But then like I'll have a little bit of that. I'll usually have some wonton soup because I do really like wonton soup. But then I'll just I'll have like a little bit. I don't get any noodles. I don't get any rice. I don't get anything like that. I'll get like some pepper steak, and I'll see what fish dishes they have. Because they'll usually have like a bunch of different kind of fish, and I like that.
If you pick through it.
And if they have peanut chicken, I'm having that. Yeah, you're gonna have to get that peanut chicken's delicious.
Some of that stuff, like some of those proteins, are very high in sugar and peanut and all that. It's going to be like candy, but it's okay because you're not eating all that rice and all those noodles. You know? So you're kind of making a trade there.
And it bums me out because, man, I love lo mein.
Yeah.
I'm not a big... I could take
like her...
I could take or leave rice. I don't really care about rice. But I love fucking noodles, and I love romaine. I love noodles. Any kind of noodles. The fucking glass noodles, and I love that.
David just showed up. You going out tonight, David? We're going to go to...
Memento Mori.
Yeah, we're going to Barbarella's.
Yeah. We haven't been, because we missed the last one, because I was broke.
Yeah.
So we didn't go to the last one. Well, they did 2 last ones.
You're talking about deviled eggs. Deviled eggs can be rough on you because there's a lot of mayonnaise in there, and there's a lot of... But I love them, too.
Yeah, deviled eggs are good.
Yeah.
I didn't like them till I was older, which is really weird.
Yeah,
because
kids don't like them for some reason.
always a big fan of eggs growing up. Like, I loved fried eggs. But for some reason, boiled eggs, weirded me out. But then when I was older and, I ate boiled eggs, I'm like, wait, these are good. What the fuck was I thinking?
Zachary's in there complaining that I'm getting him to think about these skinny Asian guys. I get Zach thinking about skinny Asian guys and cute Jewish boys. He likes them good Jewish boys.
Well, see, there you go.
That's what it is.
Now he's going to be all...
That's it. He had his thing for Leonard Nimoy when he was a kid, see?
I also have a thing for Leonard Nimoy.
Leonard was a sexy motherfucker, man.
He was. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. No shame.
Yeah.
It's and honestly, like I said, our friend Laura, she's significantly younger than us. She thinks she's in her 30s, I think, or maybe early 40s. And she just discovered classic Star Trek. And so I was talking to her at Mannequins a month or 2 ago, and she had just discovered that, and she was like, "Oh my God, Leonard Nimoy, Spock is so fucking hot." And I was like, "Right?" And she's like, "I thought I was the only person," and I was like, "Girl, you don't even know the whole fucking history of the shit." So she was she felt a lot better because I think she felt like she was alone because she was the only person.
She didn't know the Star Trek
that
culture.
Thought Spock was super hot. I'm like, oh my God.
No, when that series was running. They were, the studio was just getting love letters from women about there had to be more Spock, and they realized that they thought Kirk was going to be the sex symbol. Turned out he got action.
Yeah,
but he got action. Women liked him, but mostly guys liked Kirk. Girls liked fucking Spock because Spock was unattainable. He was a guy you couldn't get. He was like a forbidden fruit, because you could say. But then they threw in. But
Shatner was a kind of a hoe.
Yeah. The Shat was just typical male
sleep
bravado.
With any green skinned bitch that wandered past.
He was kind of typical male alpha bravado. It was the alpha sigma thing going on between the two, and then evidently fucking Bones McCoy. There was women that liked. Older women liked McCoy.
I get that. Yeah, I get that.
Women in their 40s and 50s liked McCoy.
Well, he has an appealing personality because he's kind of crotchety, but he's also really compassionate at the same time. Which that juxtaposition is very appealing. I see that.
So what they did is they made what was called the triad.
Yeah.
and they started to write the stories around Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. And that's really when the series started rolling. And they were giving the audience what they wanted. And you had, like I said, the alpha, the sigma, and then I wouldn't call him a beta. He was just the compassion. You had.
He wasn't a beta. He was just a normal dude.
Yeah. He was kind of alpha, yelling at people and shit.
Right. That's what I mean. I don't. I think that whole classification is dumb anyway because everyone.
Well, there is an alpha and a beta, and there is that kind of stuff. It's just that it's not necessarily permanent. It can change. It depends on dynamics. But like I said, that's not science. That's just it's not even sociology. It's manology.
It's bullshit. In other words.
No, it's real for us. It's real for us.
It's bullshit. In other words.
It's real for us. It is true. It was you had Kirk was about passion. All right. Spock was about logic, and then you had McCoy was about compassion.
Yes, he was the perfect.
Yeah, so that's what.
If you combined all of them together, it might be the perfect man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think Spock was the perfect man, but you know what I mean. Zach says, I never had a thing for Leonard Nimoy. Shush. Leonard Cohen, meanwhile. Okay, well, okay, I'll give you that. Leonard Cohen, I thought Leonard Cohen was kind of hot, too. And I really like his music as well. Gramthars said, wasn't Spock the original incel?
No.
No, because...
No, he wasn't a man.
Well,
he was a Vulcan.
One, yeah, he was an alien.
Yeah.
And that was just how their shit worked.
Yeah,
he was. It wasn't like involuntary, was it? It's
no.
just like that's just the way their culture was, and it's like
well,
then
also
he had
his biology. He only
Right.
mated once every 7 years or 8 years. He went through Ponfar, kind of like the
Right.
salmon, kind of like salmon having to
Yeah.
spawn. He wasn't human.
that was what
He was half human.
right.
He was half human, but no, Spock had emotions. It's just that he had them wrapped up. You know what I mean?
See,
he
that
had control
I
over
think
them.
that's what I always related
Right.
to, because I kind of feel like people that don't know that much about Star Trek or don't know
Yeah.
about Spock, they're just like, oh, he was emotionless. No, he wasn't.
had emotion, yeah.
He actually had stronger emotions than humans.
Yeah.
Vulcans over time, because they had these volcanic emotions,
They were killing each other.
They
Right.
were killing each other, so
Right.
they learned to suppress them in specific ways. So they still had them.
Yeah.
They just knew how to like fucking do it. And see, I was like, I think that's what I related to, because you knew that there was like this seething cauldron of emotion going
Yeah.
on underneath there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was a sociopath or anything, like he didn't have any emotions.
No, he was holding it back.
He was just holding it back, like he had learned to do that. And I think that was what appealed to me,
Yeah.
like for his character.
They adopted those philosophies because they had such a destructive and violent
Right.
history. They were filled with rage, hatred, violence, and lust.
Me too.
Is what they were. And they had a real violent history, and they changed over time. They were basically the same species as the Romulans. The Vulcans and the Romulans were basically the same. They were cousins. They were related. So if you ever see, this real good episode, where Spock and the Romulan captain and shit got it going on. That might have been in Star Trek Continues. I think some of that got picked. Remember when they were trying to steal the cloaking device?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys want, if you like the old series, you got to see Star Trek Continues, free on YouTube. It's fan made, but it was written by a lot of the same guys. It has the kids of the people who played the original characters in there. It's real Star Trek, and it's the final season of the old series, and it basically ends where Star Trek the motion picture kind of begins. There's supposed to be like 10 years there, I think.
Yeah, they're like filling in the gaps.
They're filling the gaps, yeah.
American Military 100. General question. Can you guys solve a debate I'm having? Ooh, let's... okay. Was the group Echo and the Bunnymen considered goth or post-punk?
Both.
They're generally considered a post-punk or goth band, or like a new wave band.
Goths
but they are
like 'em.
goth adjacent.
Yeah, goths like 'em.
If you're a goth and you like Echo and the Bunnymen, no one's gonna say boo at you. I mean, honestly, they were one of the earliest bands I got into, and they were actually, fun fact, they were the first band I saw live in 1987.
A lot of recognized goth bands borrowed a lot from Echo and the Bunnymen in terms of sound.
They were very Doorsy, Echo and the Bunnymen.
Sisters
But the Doors were kind of gothy, like proto-gothy.
I would say they were goth, kind of.
Yeah, proto-goth.
Prototype
Sure.
goth. Well, I would say what was more goth than that would have been the Velvet Underground, and they were linked in with. They knew Jim Morrison and all those guys. I think they crossed paths.
And I also love the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
I wouldn't come out and say they're a goth band, but they're definitely proto-punk, the proto-goth. It was proto. It was goth. I mean, if you listen to some
Nico
if you listen
like
to
something out
like I
of
said,
the-
if you listen to Nico's album, The Marble Index,
Yeah.
that is very, very that's very
Yeah,
gothy.
it's just-
That's very gothy.
It was just goth of its time. But Echo and the Bunnymen kind of... Sisters of Mercy took some from them. Fields of the Nephilim took some from them, and they just kind of had their own... the Mission UK kind of took some from... The goth versions of it just kind of made it a little darker and a little heavier in some ways, depending on what they were going to do.
I mean, I'm gonna say like
Echo and the Bunnymen was great.
Echo and the Bunnymen, their album Ocean Rain, which came out in '84, I think, is one of my favorite albums of all time. I fucking love that album. Yeah. I still listen to it all the time. Like a lot of like Porcupine was great, like a lot of their shit was great, but Ocean Rain was like my favorite. Every single song on that is good. Let's see. Zach says it's also weird how Leonard Cohen wasn't really that good of a singer, but he's also amazing at the same time. Honestly, that kind of describes most everybody that I like, because I think it's more important to be a distinctive singer than a good singer, technically, because the world is full of technically good singers and technically good musicians. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's awesome, but it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, I know that's so, well, it's just kind of like, you know, as kind of like a sideline, the world is full of like beautiful people, but a lot of people that are beautiful kind of like look the same as one another. So I'm kind of more interested in like someone who stands out, like who is distinctive in some way. And that kind of like goes with looks, that goes with talent, that goes with anything. So I think that's one of the reasons I got really into like punk and post-punk and stuff like that, is because, yeah, a lot of those people weren't great singers from a technical standpoint, but as soon as they sung a note, you knew who the fuck that was. They were very, very
like
distinctive.
Robert Smith.
Right. It's like as soon as they sang, you know who that is. Like, that is a very distinctive voice. And I think that's a lot rarer. Like I said, it's very easy. You know, I'm not saying it's easy, like, to be a technically great singer, but there's a lot of those. It's a lot harder to come out and, like, be in a way and have a talent that comes out in a way that is, like, maybe not technically correct or technically good, but is still, like, distinctive and really, like, resonates with people.
Well, that's always been folk and folk music.
Sure.
That goes back to Mississippi Delta blues and stuff. They were, like, you know, technically those guys weren't any good. Not by classical standards, but they were fucking, you know, Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and all that.
That's what I'm saying.
They fucking sounded great.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's gonna come down, you know, like, you know,
right.
like that, yeah.
See, that's, and yeah, shit like that, that's great. It doesn't have to be technically correct.
No.
I think that was the reason that a lot of people, and particularly like why punk came along, and it was kind of like a reaction against prog rock, because they saw that prog rock was like, you know, they were very interested, like much like jazz, they were very interested in being like technically proficient, and so they were just saying, fuck all that, we just want to like bang out some shit and like do our own stuff and let our own personalities come out. And it was a lot better, it was a lot more passionate, because I kind of feel like, I don't know, to a certain degree, if you're like technically really good at something, a lot of times like you lose passion in the process, and so your shit doesn't stand out as much. Not always, I'm not saying that that's always the case, but like I said, I think that's kind of why you know, I originally got into punk and post-punk, because a lot of those kids, when they, you know, there were kids that started, when they started those bands, they couldn't really play all that well, they couldn't really sing, you know, but they had the balls and they had the passion, and they got up there and they did the shit, and some of the shit was fucking great. It was great, like, because they were just enthusiastic, and it's like, you know what I mean, and it stood out. So I don't know, I think in some ways, like, it's important.
It depends on the context.
Yeah, like I said, I can't just say that across the board, because
it depends on the context. Because look at this, Amy Lee is technically great. I like her. I fucking love her shit, and it's gothic metal. It's kind of crisp and kind of, her sound is very clean and very tidy for gothic metal. It's almost too classical, but I still fucking love it. I think it's great. She's technically great. She's not, you're not talking about a folk singer, you're not talking about a punk rock singer or a goth singer or anything. She's just like somebody that would be singing opera or something, kind of. And it's just power metal or gothic.
And I can appreciate that too. I appreciate that too.
We saw her live. She's great live.
Yeah. I bought him tickets one year for his birthday.
She's great live, and it was a good band. Then there's some people that are great, and it's not technically great from a classical standpoint, but then they just make a new standard, and that would be Rob Halford from Judas Priest, going back to the 70s and the 80s. Not all of the albums were good, but when he was good, when they had a good album and good material, fucking Halford fucking delivered. you know, and he was great live too. I think he sounded best in the early 80s, you know, between 80 and 82, 84, 84. That's the Turbo Tour. He still sounded good, but then the music started going a weird way. 70s and 80s, man. Fucking Rob Halford. People call him God. His metal God. He trademarked that shit. He was the god of metal.
He has an amazing voice.
Amazing fucking voice. And it was not technically correct, a lot of the stuff that he did, but it just sounded fucking great.
That's
he
what
just
I mean.
made a new standard.
And to me, I kind of feel like that's what matters.
Yeah.
And I don't really know. I mean, this might be kind of like out of left field. Oh, wait. Louis asking, Jenny, is The Killing Moon on Ocean Rain? Yes, it is. It only has 8
good
songs
song.
on it, but they're all fucking fantastic. Yeah. That is such a good album. It's just so good. And that is like, I feel like, in my opinion, that's their gothest album. Like, some people might want to
They were
argue.
goth.
That's what I'm saying. You know, pretty much every goth I've ever met likes Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah.
That's of that age, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, they were one of the first bands. Them, the Psychedelic Furs, Modern English, you know, and then like a little bit later, like Bauhaus, Aliens, X-Beam. But like, I think Echo and the Bunnymen was honestly one of the first things that I bought.
You could play that. You could play a lot of those songs off that album she's talking about. In any goth club, they'll dance to it.
Oh yeah,
they know
big
that.
time. Oh yeah, big time.
Even the youngsters know that.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, like I said, I kind of feel like nowadays, because of the internet and because all songs ever are immediately available to everyone at all times, so I kind of feel like a lot of, maybe not entirely, but I feel like the whole like, oh, that's old music or whatever, I feel like a lot of that distinction has disappeared, or at least has dissipated.
Because a lot of the newer stuff
to
is
some degree
so corporate and so, because the record industry is not what it was. The newer stuff is so corporate and artificial. Younger people are listening to the old stuff, and then people are saying, man, 80s was fucking great. 80s was great. So was 70s, if you knew what to look for. I liked 90s. They had some good 90s shit, you know. Remember Gorillaz? I liked them. Fucking Gwen Stefani.
That's Damon Albarn, right?
Yeah,
he was Blur. I actually prefer Blur to Gorillaz, but
Portishead was great.
Oh man, yeah,
fucking,
I love Portishead.
There was there had a lot of good shit that kind of came and silently kind of came and went over time, but they were really good 90s bands. That they're very talented. What was I gonna say about that? Go ahead.
Zach says, it's weird, I'm not much of a Nine Inch Nails fan, but I love Trent Reznor's film scores. They're kind of experimental and atonal and very unique.
He's okay.
He's okay. I kind of feel like I saw Nine Inch Nails in 1990 live. They were opening for Peter Murphy in St. Petersburg.
If you like Nine Inch Nails, you'd probably love Gary Newman. Anything 90s Gary Newman, late 80s Gary Newman, he was fucking great. And he had a lot of Nine Inch Nails kind of borrowed from Gary Newman. Was it Gary Newman and the guys from Depeche Mode, I think, worked a lot together. Didn't they do a lot of stuff?
They did, yeah.
And then I think Trent Reznor also was doing stuff with Gary. I think all
of them, like they did a lot of stuff together. Yeah. Right. Well, because the guy
and I prefer Gary Newman. His lyrics are fucking fantastic. Just go listen to Dead Heaven. Gary Newman, Dead Heaven, and read them fucking lyrics, man.
Yeah.
Motherfucker was dark, okay?
I'm not casting aspersions on Trent Reznor, but I do I do prefer Gary Newman, in that way. But what I was going to say was that I saw Nine Inch Nails live in 1990. He opened for Peter Murphy. And at that time, it's funny because Pretty Hate Machine had just come out. And so hardly anybody knew who this band was in 1990, and it was early. It was spring or summer, and so I had Pretty Hate Machine because I had a friend that had bought it, and he's like, "Oh, this is pretty good," and he copied it for me. Yeah. So I had heard it, so I was like, "Oh, these are pretty good." But everybody just sit there and looked at them, which is hilarious. They were just like, when's Peter Murphy coming on? Yeah. It was so funny because nowadays, because they're massively famous and everybody knows who they are. But when I saw them in 1990, everyone's just sitting there looking at them.
By the time 92 had rolled around and I was in the Army, every white dude in the Army had that fucking Pretty.
Yeah, everybody had
Everybody fucking had that.
That's what I mean. This was like before they blew up. I only had the album because I had a friend that was like he worked in a record store and he copied it for me. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good. It kind of sounds like Skinny Puppy. And then like a little bit. And then I was just kind of like, okay, well, they're opening for Peter Murphy. And me and a bunch of my friends went to St. Petersburg, like on the west coast of Florida, saw Peter Murphy, and Nine Inch Nails were opening. And they were doing their whole thing. Like if you've seen the, had like a whole video, like with all the tape, like and all that kind of shit. That's kind of like what the live show was like. And so they were doing that, and I'm like, wow, they're really like leaning into this. But everyone was just like sitting there like stony face, like looking at them, which I thought was like fucking hilarious.
Another one around that time that everybody in the motherfucking Army, if you were white and you weren't a fucking rednecks didn't buy this shit.
Well, no.
But if they were doing all the fucking Garth Brooks and shit. And with big old long belt buckles.
I remember that shit. I remember Garth Brooks.
Yeah, they were doing that shit.
They were still breaking my achy,
another one that
heart.
hit. Another one that fucking hit was The Cult, and I think it was fucking what was it? Electric? No, not Electric. Temple, something other Temple.
Sonic Temple.
Sonic Temple. Everybody had that album. They played that shit. Fucking.
I didn't have it.
Oh man, fucking.
I'm not a big Cult. I'm not a big fan of.
I liked The Cult. There was a goth band too.
Well, I liked them.
That went full fucking.
Like I said, at the risk of sounding like a hipster, I liked them when they were death rock, when they were Southern death cult.
Yeah, they were good.
But then when they went cult and they went a little more LA glam metal, I was like, yeah, I'm out.
I still liked it.
I'm out.
Sonic Temple was a fucking great album, and then there was another one that was after that. It was also really good. And then it came out with one that had a damn black fucking 4-horned goat on it. That one was good too. It's just that it wasn't quite as cool as it was because it's now mainstream. But if you listen to it, I went back and listened to it recently. I said, no, this is good. And Electric, that first fucking heavy album that came out was really good. I saw them live opened up for Billy Idol on the Whiplash Smile tour back in, 87. Might have been 87, 88, something like that. And Pine Knob Theater in Michigan. Gramthars knows. Me and Steve went to go see that show. And, man, they were great live. Fantastic.
I don't know. For some reason, they just never... It was kind of like... I really got into the Sisters of Mercy, but I never got into, like, the Mission UK. Like, I liked some of their songs, but I never...
Their first album was good. They got too frilly. Too soft.
That's the thing. I was like, are you guys U2 now? Or it's like they kind of started sounding like mainstream U2, and it's like I didn't really like that. Like if I went back and listened to it now,
it's still kind of like that.
Well, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. But it sounds like Bono singing.
It does. I know. Well, maybe that's what kind of turned me off was like Wayne Hussey like singing
I had
like Bono.
a couple of their albums. I had that white one. I forgot what it was called. Something or other. It was white. It was their first album. And then I had God's Own Medicine, which is a reference to morphine. If you guys know this, God's Own Medicine, and it's got they're pouring out a bowl of morphine. It's pretty weird. And that was also good. It was kind of like Sisters of Mercy with Bono singing. But it has a very crisp and clean sound, highly engineered.
See, and I'm not usually a fan of that. I like more kind of like grungy, dirty sounding
basement
stuff.
Sounding. Yeah, well,
yeah, I like more. Not always, but that's kind of more my jam.
That was the thing about them. Even in those days, I was like, this doesn't seem to have street cred. It sounds too pristine. It sounds too much.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, the recording qualities were real good.
Yeah, which always makes me suspect.
Yeah, maybe suspect. I like fucking Gene Loves Jezebel better.
Well, yeah, I did.
Gene Loves Jezebel.
Like Discover was one of the first albums I bought, like on vinyl.
Yeah.
Now, the first album I bought on vinyl was actually The Police, Synchronicity in 1983. I was 11 years old. I had albums before that, but they'd always been like bought for me, like at my request. But when I had birthday money in 1983, I said, I'm gonna go buy. I bought The Police, Synchronicity. I think the second album I ever bought was Modern English After the Snow, which was actually a year or two old at that point because I think that came out in 1982. And then I think the third one was maybe Psychedelic Furs, Talk, Talk, Talk. I think that was the next one. But I bought that on cassette, not vinyl.
Now, I had The Immigrant. album.
I had that one too, yeah.
And I had Discover, and I had a couple of other ones, and I loved them.
Yeah,
and,
Discover was really good. I think I like that one the
And
best.
we saw them live at a local pub here. And
well, one of them,
the twins have broke up. I saw one of the twins.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't even know which twin that was.
Because they both look alike because they're twins.
And he's by himself, you know what I mean? Like incognito, like nobody knows who he is. And I just walked up to him and says, I want to thank you. When I was a kid, I bought Immigrant and Discover. And in fact, I grew up listening to your band. I really appreciate it. I love you guys. And he's like, thank you very much. And I think he was impressed because I looked... my head was shaved then, and I don't think he realized that I was a fan.
Well, the weird thing is that we went.
He was like, "Wow, okay, you know me." I said, "Yeah, I know you," and you know, and fucking he was up there, and he did the Porter, and he did the Cow.
He did all their old
Right
songs.
on the Plasty and all that shit.
And we were right in the front. And we were like, "Holy shit! We knew all these."
Yeah, and fucking a lot of people left, and it's only like fucking 30 or 40 people, and he's doing us, and he goes, "They all left, but we all grew up together." Because I said that. He says, "Yeah, we grew up together." And fucking
I knew like almost. I knew all but like I think one or two of the songs that he did.
He sang the Cow, and fucking.
I was like,
the show's
holy
over,
shit.
I said, "Dude, you did the Cow." And he goes, "Yeah, I did the Cow." And I says, "Man, it's fucking awesome."
I haven't heard that song for like fucking 30 fucking years.
Yeah, and fucking,
That
I thought he
blew
was
my
good
mind.
on his own. He didn't.
He was, yeah.
And he had kind of like a backup band for hire. It was only part of the band because they had some problem with the tour. But
yeah, we saw them at
was
Will's
happy to see
Pub.
him.
But it was just, well, I think he was excited, like I said, because it did seem like Will's Pub is kind of one of those venues where even if a band, because bands are always playing there. So I kind of feel like a lot of people will just go there to like hang out and drink and they don't give a shit like what band is on. So they're just like, oh, whatever, this is fine. So I think when like a band plays and like people get there and they're really into it, I think the band is like really appreciative because they're like, oh my God, we thought nobody knew who we were.
yeah, we're all singing their songs.
Kind of thing.
He looks down and
I couldn't believe it. I thought he was going to do like new shit. Like he did do a couple new songs, but it's like pretty much every song that he did, I'm like, oh my God, I know this song too. I was like, holy shit.
Something off of Immigrant or Discover. Most of it.
Yeah, he did like a lot of old shit, which is a fucking crazy.
You guys probably have no idea what you were talking about, but you can go on and just Google Gene Loves Jezebel and go Immigrant, look at that album, and then the other album was Discover. Those two albums right there, fucking classic underground, kind of goth rock.
Yeah, or goth adjacent.
Goth adjacent rock. Goths liked it.
Yeah.
And from the 80s.
I mean, I bought that
And they
shit.
were really good lyrics. Good, you could, and they're from Wales.
Yeah.
It's a Welsh band, and it was two twins that were in the band, and
The Aston twins.
Yeah, the Aston twins.
It never works out though, because look at fucking
they started fighting
look
over
at
who should be in the
fucking
band.
Jesus and Mary Chain. Now they weren't twins, but they were brothers.
Right.
And I think the same thing happened with Oasis, man. Like a long time, like you have a band with your brother, and then like after a while, you just, like, you don't even want to see each other.
Yeah,
anymore.
and they're on the cover, and they were kind of like wearing weird, like Holly Hobby, gender bending looking kind of outfits with big extensions and cool hair and shit. It kind of was trying to look a little bit like Strawberry Switchblade, I think, a little bit. And the crowd from neo-folk crowd from England, they were kind of trying to look a little. Oh, I'm just.
Oh, I thought that was
No.
I thought that was Pookie
Me.
trying to jump up on a chair.
Kind of like. You know, but when you see him, you'll see what I'm talking about. But the music's really good. Real good. And it's just kind of traditional rock layout. A couple of guitarists, bass player, drummer, and vocalists. And you can actually see the original lineup doing live. I watched a live show on YouTube. I think it was off of fucking the Discover album. And it was great. They were great live when they were together. Just they started to fight over who should be in the band. So then it became in two bands called
There's
Gene
two
Love.
Gene Loves
There's
Jezebel.
two Gene Loves Jezebel.
There's Jay Aston's Gene Loves Jezebel.
Yeah.
And whatever the other brother's
Aston's
name
name,
is. That Aston's. Which seems a little petty.
Yeah.
But I mean, well, the thing about it is that that's your bread and butter, like that band name. So it's like, I can see how it's like,
You can't
look,
leave it
bro,
behind.
you can't really leave it. It's like, oh, I'll just start another band with another name, but like nobody knows who the fuck you are. So you got to start over from square one. So I get how like annoying.
That kind of happened with Christian Death.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's
Ross
what I'm
Williams
saying.
had a right to it, and so did fucking Valor. So there were 2 Christian deaths for a while.
Fucking Valor.
Valor, yeah. Valor did have some good material, but...
He did, yeah. I'm not saying that. But...
Yeah, he did have some good material. I liked it. Jatan Damone was usually working with him.
And she's the shit.
She's fucking great.
Yeah, I like her.
Kind of a blues singer, blonde chick. She was old back then, but she was hot. She was like 40-something and just...
She has an amazing
killer
voice. Holy shit, her voice is so awesome.
White hair and bondage outfits and... You know, incendiary lover. Okay. And it just sounded like... She was just like a blues...
Man, that's a great song.
Blues singer. But she did a great cover for Christian Death for 1983, A Merman I Should Turn to Be, which is a Jimi Hendrix song.
Jimi Hendrix song, yeah.
Yeah. You can get it on YouTube. And she fucking does a great Jimi Hendrix cover. But really, Roz Williams is his version of it was better. He was kind of like the gothic David Bowie. He sounded a lot like David Bowie.
And they did some David Bowie covers.
Yeah.
He covered Time. That was probably like the best known one. Yeah, all the goths love David Bowie, man. That's what I mean. See, that's another thing. Like David Bowie, nobody would call him a goth, but all goths liked David Bowie.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single person that's like into goth music that didn't like David Bowie.
Yeah, if you want to hear that album, that would be Christian Death, Iron Mask. Try that one. That one's got fucking what's his name in it? Fucking shit. I'm getting drunk now.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Roz Williams. I think Iron Mask is probably his best one. Wouldn't you say?
I don't know. Like I'd have to go back
That's
and.
that one. I hear the rat-a-tat, tatters of bones, kick over buckets.
I don't know. What was the one before that?
Dry.
What was the one before that?
Only Theater of Pain. He's on that.
I think that was my favorite.
That's a good one.
I remember me and my brother used to listen to that one. Like,
that's
all
the
the
brown
time.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have it somewhere. Like I have like piles of CDs around here someplace, but I don't ever listen to them anymore because now you can find everything online. So whenever I want to hear something. Zach says, I want to recommend my favorite band to you guys, Poets of the Fall. I've heard of them, but I don't actually ever think I've heard their music. Finnish rock group, amazing lyrics. The singer has such an amazing voice. I think you'd like them. Very diverse sounds. John Smith says, okay, I'll look them up. I have heard of that band, but I don't think I've ever heard of their stuff. Not that I remember anyway. John Smith said, first CD I ever bought with my own money, Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill. Yep. The first
I remember that album being pretty good, though.
It was all right.
It was like on the charts, I think.
It was, yeah. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
I remember that. But the first vinyl album I bought was Synchronicity, The Police. That was 83.
Yeah, it was a good album.
The first
I bought that one.
cassette that I bought was The Walk by The Cure. I remember that. The first CD that I bought was Extricate by The Fall. That was 1989 that came out. And yeah, and I didn't actually have a CD player when I bought it, but I wanted it so bad that I just bought it and I said, well, I'll just take it to somebody else's house, my friend's house that has a CD player, and I'll tape it. And then like later on I got a CD player. I didn't have a CD player then, but I bought it because I found it in a store and I wanted it. Joe Nash said, do you remember when Laurie Anderson came out with Oh Superman in 1982? Yeah, I remember that song. And actually, matter of fact, I was watching the Mystery Science Theater Turkey Day Marathon yesterday, which was streaming on YouTube. And they did the episode Warrior of the Lost World, and they make a Laurie Anderson joke in there, which always makes me laugh every single time.
There's a bunch of 80s stuff that was top 40 when I was a kid. They would just burn it. They would just burn it into you, and you would just like get sick of it. Now you hear it again. I heard it again recently, and I was like, man, this shit was good. I forgot how good Hall & Oates actually was.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, right?
Hall & Oates was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
All right, fucking Man-Eater.
I liked Man-Eater at the time.
Yeah.
Their other stuff, not so much, but...
I liked everything
I liked it. I like it better now in retrospect.
Yeah, looking back on it, it was a lot better. It was very tight. And it had a flavor to it that was just really good. Its gestalt was good, and I didn't remember it being that good. I
feel like the 1980s, particularly like the first half of the 1980s, maybe even in like the late 1980s, I kind of feel like there was this whole like white boy R&B thing like which was very much engendered by Hall & Oates, but
Hall &
then
Oates, yeah.
like later on you had
Blue-Eyed Soul is what it's called.
So then like you had like ABC would do that kind of shit. Like later on you had like the Blow Monkeys. You had like bands like that were like white as shit, but were doing this kind of like retro like R&B thing, which I don't know. It's like I don't know if I was like so into it at the time, but like when I hear it now, like sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what? That was pretty good. You know what I mean? Every now and then.
How we doing on time?
It's only 7.
Okay.
So we're fine.
Yeah, it gets dark early now, so.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. John Smith said, creepy fact, British serial killer Dennis Nilsson listened to Oh Superman many times when killing his victims. Oh, that's great. Well, no accounting for taste, I guess. It's like, you know what I mean. I'm always like surprised when like serial killers like cool shit though. You'd always think there are serial killers. They'd probably like some lame shit, but every now and then you kind of, I don't know why, but like, I don't know why this made me think of this, but you know, everybody's seen Silence of the Lambs, right? The movie. So Buffalo Bill, like in the last scene where Starling is like going down there like trying to get the girl out of the, you know, basement or whatever, that song that's playing is The Fall, and it's a song called Hip Priest, which is a great fucking song. I love The Fall, by the way. And I know a lot of Americans don't, I don't know, a lot of Americans aren't really into them, but I don't know, like I really like them. I have almost all their albums, which is crazy to say because they have like 1 million. They put out like 2 or 3 a year for a very long time. Not anymore, sadly, because Mark E. Smith has died. But yeah, so I was really into them. So like when I first saw that movie and I heard the song in the background, I'm like, are you fucking telling me that Jonathan Demme, who directed that movie, is telling me that like, people that listen to The Fall are serial killers? Because I think maybe I'm offended. I wasn't offended, but I just thought that was funny that he put that song in there. You know what I mean? Because I recognized it immediately. Like while she was walking around the thing, I'm like, oh my god, I recognize that fucking song. You can barely hear it, like, but I recognized it because I really like that song. Joe Nash said, remember Frankie Teardrop by Suicide? Yep, I remember that song. John Smith said, Silence of the Lambs did ruin Goodbye Horses. I don't think it ruined it. Honestly, it made that song super popular. You know what? Last time we were at Mannequins, they play Goodbye Horses. Every motherfucker gets out on that dance floor. Everybody. So everybody's still into that song, and it's because Silence of the Lambs. It's because Silence of the Lambs. Well, it's just kind of like, you know how just recently everybody suddenly got back into Running Up That Hill, that Kate Bush song? That's down to Stranger Things. Stranger Things featured it on that episode, and then now suddenly everybody knows that fucking song. So it's just kind of like, and look, I've always loved that song, and so now I almost feel kind of like conflicted because now they play it at the club because all the people are like, oh my god, it's a song from Stranger Things. And I'm just like, well, shit, I kind of want to dance to this song because I've loved this song like forever. But now everybody knows what this song is, and now they're going to think I only know it because of Stranger Things. But I've known about this song since the 80s. So it's just kind of like, and it's kind of the same thing. It's like Goodbye Horses is kind of the same thing. I kind of feel like that's, you know, people knew that song beforehand, but then when it was in Silence of the Lambs, then everybody knew it.
A lot of people know the covers of Goodbye Horses more than the original. Q Lazarus was just an unknown goth band. I mean, she was just a taxi cab driver.
Yeah.
At the time.
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And didn't she like
that's a black female singing. A lot of people
didn't she just like go into like hiding, or they couldn't find her like for a long time after, or some shit like that? It was just like some one-off.
Yeah, some people think that's a dude. That is not a dude. That's
it's a woman.
It's a black female and a goth dude doing that music together. I think that might have been her boyfriend.
I don't know.
Okay.
But it's just funny how that just really resonated, I guess, like for that particular scene. Yeah. Although, like I said, that fall song "Hip Priest" was in Silence of the Lambs too, and no one gives a shit about that except me because
it's a great song.
It is. That's what I mean, and it's like honestly, it's such a good song that I don't even care. Like they play at the club, I'll dance to it. Yeah. I'll dance to it. Yeah. Same with the Kate Bush song. I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna dance to it anyway. I don't care if people just think I know it because of Stranger Things. No, I knew it beforehand. Let's see. Yeah, they're talking about.
Hey, Dave, you gonna go? You going out tonight?
He said he was going to Mannequins.
Going to
Yeah.
Okay.
He said he was going to Mannequins. Zach says, I watched Silence of the Lambs recently and never realized how cool the cinematography is. All those close-ups are so unique. Honestly, I love that fucking movie. And, you know, I was thinking about it the other day. I don't think we've ever reviewed that movie.
If we do that, we got to do them all, because I actually like Hannibal Rising the best out of all of them.
I don't know. I like Silence of the Lambs best out of all of them, but...
Hannibal Rising's better. But whatever. They're all good. But even the one with...
Okay, Poke.
Not Mindhunter. What's the? It was like the last one, number 3, or number 2. Was good. Remember the guy who was eating the pictures of the dragons?
Yeah.
What was the name
well,
of
the
that
book was called Red Dragon. I don't know.
Yeah, Red Dragon. That was a good one. And then
that was all right.
I liked him.
Zach says, "Oh damn! I just googled Q Lazarus. She actually died this past summer.
Oh, she did.
61 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. There's been a couple covers of it too, because like sometimes, they still play the cover of it too, like at the club sometimes. I think like last time we were at Memento Mori, they played the
61. That's dying young.
John Smith said, seeing a weird Chris Isaac cameo as a SWAT team member. See, I wondered about that too. Like, I was watching it, I was like, holy shit, that's fucking Chris Isaac. Look at that motherfucker. I don't know why he was
Chris
random.
Isaac's great. He's got a lot of good songs.
I really like
He's
Chris
got a lot
Isaac,
of good songs.
actually.
Yeah.
I have a couple of his albums somewhere.
He's chilled out guy, chilled out music.
But it's just funny how he always
good.
like turns up in these movies. Yeah, I think, but wasn't he in a couple David Lynch movies too, I want to say?
Yeah. He's got a lot of friends.
Yeah, I guess so.
People like his shit. He's good chill out music.
Zach says,
like, I miss fucking Hope Sandoval.
From Mazzy Star?
Mazzy Star, yeah. She sounded great.
She had another band with the dude from the Jesus and Mary chain.
Yeah.
Like one of the brothers from the Jesus and Mary chain.
Yeah.
What the fuck did they call him? That was a long time ago now, I feel like. I didn't love it. I didn't love like their collaborations. Like, it was okay. But honestly, that Mazzy Star album, not the one that everybody has.
Yeah, something of the stars to see you bright, some bullshit like that.
She Hangs Brightly was the name of that was the one that I had.
That album
had Hala on it, which is a great fucking song.
That Mazzy Star album was the 90s goth hookup album. That was the album that your goth girlfriend put on when you were going to throw down. She put the incense on and the candles and shit, put the Mazzy Star album, and it would just be straight fucking. That was like the goth fuck album of the 90s.
It was pretty much. Yeah. It was pretty much.
Yeah, and fucking Hope singing, her fucking voice was fucking great. It was it kind of sounded like Switchblade Symphony a little bit, but just the music was
very
real soothing.
Yeah, it's very laconic. Yeah, and it's very kind of like
goth girls would put Mazzy Star on or the Cockatoo Twins on for sex.
Yeah, I could see that.
That was the sexual albums, and it wasn't just one. There were several girls that they did that. That was the 90s thing.
I can see that.
It was good music.
The thing about at least the early Mazzy Star stuff was, because I know they got real big later, but I kind of got into them with the earlier album. They have like a very like midnight in the desert, like I'm driving my car, my convertible, like in the desert, like in the middle of the night, and like nobody is around, and I really like that vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think Hope was from the desert. She was.
She was
like Mexican American.
Yeah.
I think from New Mexico or Arizona or something.
But it had a really cool like nighttime in the desert kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Which I really liked.
She wasn't goth, but her music was. She looked more kind of folk. Little dresses and stuff, little baby doll dresses and her hair. And
I kind of feel like in the 90s there was kind of like a whole, it wasn't goth, but it was like goth adjacent kind of thing where you had these sort of like these very wispy like female vocals, and so like you had like Mazzy Star, you had like the Pale Saints, you had like some people like that.
We called it goth ambient. No.
Yeah. It was like ambient.
Is what we called it.
I mean, it's not quite ambient because I think that's its own thing, but like that's kind of like what.
I'm trying to remember that. I think it's goth etheric. That's what we called it.
Yeah, like
goth
ethereal. Yeah.
Goth etheric. I think is what we used to classify that as. even though they didn't consider themselves to be goth bands.
And like I'm sure like regular people listen to them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but they like I said though, they had the cool hair, and they wore little baby doll dresses, like little Wednesday Addams type dresses. They might not all be black, but they dressed like that. You can see pictures of them, and they would had cool videos of like them in the desert in cars, and just kind of there was a romantic element to their material, and it had a feeling of depth to it, of a deep meaning. It may have all just been sleight of hand tricks, but the music was so good, you could put what you wanted into it. You could read into it. And they were just good chill out music. Get high to it or have sex to it. You know, when you're young and you're in your 20s, you can throw down, you know. Fucking that's how it was. That's how it was. We didn't have fucking mobile internet and mobile devices, and you weren't being inundated with data and information, and time moved a little more slowly back then, and everything was personal, and you wrote letters and love letters and shit to each other and shit. Now it's all texts and emails and shit. Yeah, actually, emails getting fucked. That's old people shit, but
yeah. Zach says, I love that Chris Isaac song that was in Wild at Heart. Yeah, Wicked Game.
Game.
That's a great fucking song. I have that album, and I have like one other one of his, but I can't remember what the name of it is. John Smith says, in my day.
Fall in love.
He's got a great voice, honestly.
Yeah, he can sing.
And, you know, the fact that he was... And honestly, like, I really like a lot of the music that David Lynch chooses to be in his movies. Yeah. Because David Lynch really likes that... Like I said, that Midnight in the Desert vibe. I like music... This is not the only thing that I like, but I really like music that has a specific... I don't even know if there's a word for it. But it has this specific vibe to it where I'm in my car, I'm driving on this abandoned road in the middle of the night somewhere, and like it's all like lonely and spooky and there's like nothing else around, and you're listening to this song. And I made a whole mix like that, like one time a long time ago, songs that gave me that vibe. And I wish I had a word for it, but I don't. I'm like not really sure. And like it's hard to explain to somebody else unless you just give them examples of it. But that song is one like that. And like I said, a lot of songs that turn up in David Lynch movies, he seems to like that kind of shit too. So it's that kind of like vibe to it.
John Smith says he liked Hannibal Risings too, an underrated, underappreciated fucking answer. It's that was kind of like the Batman Begins of serial killer movies. How Hannibal had became who he was, and it was a classy European flick, and it was a period movie. It went
shit so classy.
It was a classic fucking European flick. It's all classy and shit, and and they did a great job making things period, because were in the 40s where they had the fucking Soviet T-34 fucking tanks. They even had a bicycle strapped to the side of the turret. Accurate. When the Soviets ran around in their tanks, they'd have a bicycle strapped to the turret. People didn't realize that. Because when you park the tank, how are you going to go down to the fucking... How are you going to get a beer? How are you going to go to town and get something? You know what I mean? Because they were an Allied tank. So they were mostly in friendly territory. They rode on a bicycle. You couldn't take the tank. And then accurate MV Agusta classic 1960s MV Agusta or late 50s MV Agusta fucking motorcycles and shit. Just did a good job of recreating that era. The guns, Tokarev, fucking TT Tokarev pistols. Just, I thought it was a cool flick. And it was kind of like the Batman Begins of serial killer movies. And Hannibal's kind of a good guy in a way. And he just becomes a savage tribal warrior like the samurai. And it says how he became that way. He was judge, jury, and executioner wherever he went. If you were fucking rude, he was going to eat you. And then it got down to, well, how did cannibalism come into this? It makes sense when you watch that movie. They ate his sister, so he's going to eat them. And he got into that habit. And then he realized he became what he hated. You know,
I
he
hate when
became
I
a
get into the habit of cannibalism.
Yeah, he became a cannibal, and now he was a cannibal now, and he hated it. Fucking, you know,
Whoops,
he hated
I need
himself.
to quit doing this, seriously.
And then, what's that?
I said it's like, whoops, I need to quit doing this, seriously.
Yeah.
Need to quit eating people. It's a bad habit.
There's
It's a
more
bad
to
habit.
it than that, but I want to spoil the movie. See Hannibal Rising. Great flick. I got it on Blu-ray.
Noel Bailey said, Tom, have you ever seen the guy called Liver King?
Yeah, I've just seen mostly comments about Liver King and videos made by people in the fitness scene online. Them talking about Liver King. What does he want to know about Liver King?
I don't know, just asking.
I've seen him. Liver King's not natural, if that's what you're thinking. No, he's on gear. Look, man.
What's the matter?
I'm just trying to settle my mind.
Oh, you getting all unsettled?
100% of professional athletes.
Right, I gotta pee.
Okay. 100% of professional athletes, professional models, and all are on gear, including bowlers and people that bowl. People in the Olympics, they're all on shit. What it is that they go on certain kinds of shit that they need, and then they come off of it in order to do the drug tests. And then once the drug tests are over, they go back on shit. None of those people are natural. If you see abs on a girl, she's not natural. If you see a dude who's over the age of 35 and he looks good, he's not natural. There's such a huge stigma, which I think it's left over from another era. There's such a huge stigma about anabolics and hormone replacement that people would go out of their way to lie about it. And this goes back to the 70s. Arnold and fucking Sylvester Stallone and all those fucking classics and shit. They were all on gear. Testosterone goes back to the 1930s. They were all on that shit. You can see guys in the 50s. He says, man, how'd they get that fucking build? Testosterone and anthate. Which is just test. They just took a lot of it. So none of these dudes are natural. Not beyond fucking 30. And if you see dudes that you know are natural at 30, they've been working fucking 10, 15 years, they're not that impressive. You look at them, you're like, yeah, okay. Anybody who's impressive is not natural. But what is natural? Bodybuilding is not natural. Lifting weights isn't natural. Dieting isn't natural. The modern diet of today, with all these luscious proteins and all this shit, that's not natural. That ancient people didn't have access to the modern diets. They were lucky to fucking just live the amount that they did, you know. So what is natural, you know? Nothing's natural. Brushing your teeth is not natural. Taking showers isn't natural, you know. You're cheating. All y'all are cheating.
Shaving isn't natural.
Shaving isn't natural.
Might as well just grow hair all over
Right.
the body. Isabella
But nothing's
said,
been natural for fucking thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians and the fucking Romans and shit tweezed, shaved. They weren't natural either. And they worked out. They did all kinds of shit and had weird diets. And they measured. Eugene Sandow measured those statues. And people said, they can't get that big. No, the Romans got pretty fucking big because they had sports medicine. They didn't have testosterone or anabolic steroids, but they knew how to work out. They worked out, which isn't natural. And they eat high protein, it seems to be, based on those statues. Okay, I'm done.
Zach says, Clocks by Coldplay gives me that vibe, but as the sun is rising. Yeah, I can see that. That's kind of like, I was trying to remember like what all songs that I had put on that mix. I remember, speaking of Echo and the Bunnymen, I remember the title song, Ocean Rain, being on there. I remember Tones on Tail being on there. I don't think it was Burning Skies. I think it was that one that's like really, really long and slow.
Yeah, John Smith said that Hannibal was killing Nazis in the movie. Makes it better. They weren't Nazis. They were working for the Nazis, remember?
Well, same diff.
Not really, because then they turned on the Nazis. They were just a bunch of mercenaries. I think they were they Ukrainians? I don't remember what they were. They were just something. They were just helping the Germans. But then they turned on the Germans and just started stealing money And they tried to escape in a what do you call it? In an ambulance. They didn't care about any of that shit. They were just thieves and cannibals. Well, they became cannibals because it got snowed in. It's a good movie though. What's up, Ogie?
Isabella said, I like the Ravenettes. They have the type of sound you're talking about. Yeah, I like the Ravenettes too. Actually, they did a really good, this is probably like years ago, but I remember they did a really good cover of, you know that Stone Roses song, I Want to Be Adored? Yeah, they did a really good cover of that. I have a couple of their albums somewhere. Like I said, I have like fucking piles of CDs around here, but I don't know what happened to all of them. John Smith said they were Lithuanian.
Lithuanians, yeah, okay, yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, that's bugging me because I feel like I made a whole like mix of songs like that I'm talking about. Now I can't remember what was on there. I remember like 2 songs that were on there, but that was about it. That was a long time ago. But I was gonna say when we were talking about music earlier that about voices that are, I don't know, maybe technically not great, but I don't know if you'd say that though, because I really like, I don't know if you guys know, but I really like Rufus Wainwright, and I guess he's technically like a really good singer, even though I don't know. I mean, Zach probably knows who he is because it's like he's done a lot of Leonard Cohen covers. He was on that because Zach, if you like Leonard Cohen, have you seen the documentary? I think it's called I'm Your Man. And it's like a live show with like all these different, and Rufus Wainwright is on there, Nick Cave is on there. Like there's a bunch of other stuff like interpreting, Leonard Cohen songs. And honestly, like Rufus Wainwright doing the fucking Everybody Knows is fucking fantastic. That is like one of the best fucking covers that has ever been done ever in the history of music. And I will die on that hill. Zach says, I'm also a big fan of John Barry. His orchestration style is so elegant. I really love his music for Body Heat. Yeah, I don't, I'd have to like listen to it. I'm not really familiar. I know that name though. Body Heat, that's another movie we should probably do one of these days. There's a lot of movies we need to do still. You all right?
Yeah.
You sure?
Oh, I'm getting fucked up. I'm going to have to fucking slow down on this.
Well, yeah, like I said.
A bit.
Well, the thing about it, like we don't have to leave for another 2 hours. Because they don't open until 10, and it's only 7:30.
Yeah.
So.
What we have to leave it around
9:30. 9:30, because it takes about half an hour to get there. So we still have to like 2 hours before we have to leave. And like I said, I'm not.
About an hour to get ready. Probably.
Yeah, I'm not redoing the makeup. I mean, I was going to, but I was like, Jesus Christ, I don't have time to do that. I was hoping I'd have time to do it before the show started, but I didn't have time. So I was like, well, now I'll just like.
So we can do the show for about another 45 minutes probably.
Something like that. Okay. Yeah, like half hour, 45 minutes. We're fine. And then it's like I already know what I'm going to wear. I already pulled it out.
All right.
So
what you going to wear?
Well,
she's going to surprise me.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just like I'll sit here and explain all the thing and you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. So it's like not really. All right. It's not really going to like
be boobalicious.
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
I'm just wearing shit. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I'm not gonna wear a wig though because
no. Okay.
Well, no, because it's like it's already. I've been wearing this most of the day because I recorded a bunch of videos and it's like it's hot.
Okay.
And it's like so I'm just gonna like use my regular hair.
Okay.
I might put my horns on though.
All right. Yeah.
I might do my horns. But I was gonna do it before the show, but like I said, I didn't have time, so I gotta make my bangs lay down because I pushed all my bangs. It's complicated, all the shit you have to do, man. It's such a high maintenance lifestyle.
Cut your hair.
It's a high maintenance lifestyle. Well, cutting it's not going to make any difference. What I'm telling you is that to put a wig on, I have to make my bangs lay down in the back. Now, if I want bangs again when I go out, then I'm going to have to get them wet and like comb them forward and then drive because otherwise they're going to like be plastered to the back of my head. You see what I'm saying?
I was talking about shaving the undercuts. Remember if you were
I don't have time to do that because
no, not today.
Because if we did that, then I'd have to wash it.
I didn't say today.
Okay.
I said I can do that for if you want.
Well, you just got the idea to do that, and it's like
I saw what it looked like. And I was like, man, that did.
See, that's kind of what I mean.
But the thing is, though, is that when I'm talking about growing the hair out, I didn't necessarily mean that it didn't have the undercut. You know what I mean? You can have both. You can have long hair like you have.
Well, I know
and
that.
The undercut. Right? Yeah, that'd be cool because you were complaining how hot it was. And I can give that back to you. That doesn't take long. It's easy.
Well, I can do it too. It's like I did it myself for a long time.
Well, touch it up. But don't you want the sideburns?
No.
With the long, you don't want sideburns?
Absolutely not.
Okay,
those are way too.
They're
way too high maintenance. Because that,
yeah, you got to get those things just right. But when they were long, they looked really cool.
Yeah, but like the thing about it is that if you don't get them exactly right, like if you cut them short, like then it's like a week later they look all fucking messy and shit like that. It's like
people
you have
don't
to
know what we're talking
constantly
about.
maintain
Look,
that.
what you do is like a real traditional old school goth female haircut is long hair, but it has an undercut. It's really just a top. All right, there's no hair anywhere else, which that's common now. But parallel to the ear, there's hair there, and it's like a sideburn, but it's long. It's about a foot long. That way you have strips, and it looks really cool. That looks cool. And I used to cut that hair into her all the time and do all the touch-ups, and like it is high maintenance to keep those.
Yeah, to keep them because they get
start
messy.
Growing and they start getting messy.
They get messy.
Yeah.
You know, and you usually have to, if you're going out, you usually have to like mousse them
mousse them and fucking,
or spray them so like they don't like fucking get all flyaway and sloppy looking.
Right.
Like I said, it's very high maintenance.
They're an optional goth thing.
Goth is a high maintenance lifestyle.
Yeah. I saw an old video of us at the club, and that's back when she had that with the sideburns and the under. Well, I call them sideburns, but they're kind of like a sideburn.
Yeah, sorta.
And the undercut, and her hair was red. It was that fucking bright red.
I had it dyed red for a while.
Yeah, it looked really cool, like Ronald McDonald red.
Well, yeah, I liked it, but again,
everything in the house gets red.
All the
sheets,
all the pillowcases, the inside of the shower.
Yeah, everything was red.
Everything was red, and well, because I had to dye it every week.
Right. Black's better.
Well, black's better just because it's easier.
Yeah.
It's better on your hair. It doesn't like because to do the red I have to bleach it.
Yeah, it's real rough on hair.
And it's real rough on your hair. Like the black is like usually, and the black if you decide you want a different color, you can just put a wig on. You know what I mean? It's like it seems a lot easier. I did love the red though. I did love the red. But I didn't love how much work it took to maintain that color.
I was in there with them clippers all the time, fucking, and this and that. You had to get that shit right.
Well, not just that. It was just
and then that shit kind of want to curl and do this.
I don't know.
It's wispy.
I mean, I don't know what the deal.
And it's not straight. You got to pull them straight down. You got to cut them at an angle to get them to come to a point. And I remember, I didn't mind doing it. I like that kind of fussy shit. But I think she got sick of asking me to do it.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm a pretty chill, like low maintenance person. It's like if anything's gonna take that much time and effort, I'm just like I don't even know if it's worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I did like the red. I like the way it looks. It's just that I don't like all the work involved in keeping it looking like that. Because like the hair looked cool, bright red, but if you left it like a week or two without putting dye in it, then it would start turning pink, and then you'd have, and it looked shitty.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of it.
You really have to do it all the time, and I just got tired of taking care of it. Is what happened. And my hair is kind of a pain in the ass anyway, because I have a wig on right now, but my natural hair is kind of a pain in the ass anyway because it's very, very fine. It's like baby hair. My sister's hair is like this too, because she said her hairdresser complains about it all the time, and I'm like, yeah, I feel your pain. So it's super fine, like baby hair, but then there's like a fuck ton of it. It's really, really thick, but all the hair is fine. And every time I wash it or brush it or run a hand through it, a bunch of it falls out, but it never gets any thinner. Today, I was going around today in my office, and I was scooting around in my with my toes. You scoot around with your toes on the carpet of my office, and it's just big hairballs will come out, just of hair that's fallen out while I was just walking around.
That means I got a vacuum in here.
That's what you probably don't need to now, because I kind of just clawed through the carpet today because I was like, oh my god, gross.
This place is always clean because she doesn't really do anything in here, you know what I mean?
Well, and I try to keep shit clean in here, you know what I mean? It's I'm not a filthy person.
But I try to vacuum once a week up in here, but sometimes I forget.
It's just that it's even if you did. I mean, even if it's every week, it's like you can't keep up. Yeah. Seriously, every single day I have to go in and like scoop like hair out of the bottom of the tub, and like it's all over the bathroom floor. But my hair never gets any thinner. Like, I never look like I'm balding or anything like that. I'm like, where the fuck is...
No, you just have high hair turnover.
I have a lot... I have high hair turnover. It is. It's crazy. And like I said, my hair is just very, very fine. It's like baby hair. Yeah. But there's like a fuck ton of it.
All right, do us a favor, everywhere. People. Go ahead and hit that like. Go ahead and hit that like button, people. There's fucking many of you in there that would help us out with the algorithms. Just remember the super chats are fucking wide open, and if y'all wanted to buy us a drink, you can go ahead and fucking drop us in a super chat.
We need any more.
We need more.
Well, once we get to...
let me give you a little bit of this because, man, I gotta cut back. I gotta drive.
I mean, once we get to Memento, I probably will not. They don't have any real drinks anyway. I mean, they just have like the one. Well, they have the ones in the cans.
You saw how fucked up I got on those things.
Well, yeah, but that's because you thought that
I was slamming. I thought you didn't think I was drinking anything.
That's what I mean.
They were those Bacardi mojitos in a can.
In a can.
And I was just fucking slamming them.
Like I said, I've never
slamming them.
You were even drunker than you were on the show last Friday.
Oh yeah, I was fucking loaded.
You were just like fucking. I've never seen you that. I don't think I've ever seen you that drunk before.
I hit a car on my way out of the parking lot, backed up, boom, ran into a car, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
I was like, "It's a car."
She had to drive back.
I did, yeah. I was like, "Get out."
I can't drive this bitch. Yeah.
I had to take my boots off and everything. Yeah. Because I can't drive in those boots, so I had to drive barefoot. That's okay. I prefer driving barefoot anyway.
All right. One of the things I'm thinking about doing, people, is getting into fucking going back into leathercraft. I did.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna bring that up.
I used to be into leathercraft, but not like advanced leathercraft. There's a lot of tools out there to get, and I was thinking about getting back into leathercraft so I could make cool shit. I might sell some of it. Might start up an Etsy store, or do something to order. Just anything, bracelets, necklaces.
Because you've made me some belts in the past.
Yeah, I made belts and shit in the past, but I want to do some more gothic type stuff, could be anything, but I think it'll be pretty good quality. I was thinking about actually even making shit like boots and shoes, that's advanced stuff. That's hard, but I got the skills to do that kind of shit, just not the experience. I know I can do it. I just have to get the tools and the time, and I don't know. We'll see if I like making shit for myself too, but I might do something like that. Leather corsets for women.
Yeah, I was gonna say you better make me a corset. That'd be cool.
Just motorcycle armor, maybe leather pants, shit like that. Make some leather outfits. Do some stuff that look like I got a fucking Edward Scissorhand looking gothic stuff.
See, that'd be badass.
Yeah.
I told you should probably get back into that. Because like I said a long time ago, like you made me some belts and like, you kind of farted around with that on a little thing. But when you told me the other day, it's like, oh, I'm thinking about getting back into that. And you were showing me the videos and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, that seems like something you'd
Another thing I wanted to make is do pistol holsters. Custom pistol holsters. Leather ones. I saw some guys making those. Like, oh yeah, they're not as good as some of the carbon fiber tactical shit you have now, but there's some things that only leather can do when it comes to class. And of course, it would be custom to a customer with designs and artwork on it. And, whatever, fucking small of the waist carry or under the shoulder, could be anything. Some of that shit I'd need measurements for. And I don't know. I was thinking about it because I got to make a Bane costume.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the Bane costume with the mask. There's a kit you can do to get like a film accurate version. I'm going to get one of those. But I have a fucking basically a military load bearing vest that is real close to Bane's armor. I just got to build an armored front for it. It doesn't really have to, and it's all Molly attachments, so I can get that to work and add a belt to it. It's got to be OD green, And I'm not gonna make fucking, you know, ballistic armor. It's just, it doesn't. I don't need that. That's not the application. So it's not gonna be real armor. It's just, and I'm just thinking that probably foam and leather and stitching and fucking would be enough to make a front to put on the thing that I have now. And that would pretty much be Bane's armor from the Batman movie, because they sell a replica for about $70, but the quality doesn't look that good. And I think for fucking half of that, I could take what I have and turn that into a Bane costume. And gonna get the pants and everything, and I'll practice that voice, the one that I can do that, because I can do the Danny Trejo fucking voice when I'm warmed up. I was doing that shit to the kids out there for fucking Halloween. I did the DC comic version of Bane. I had the Bane luchador mask on. I was doing the Danny, kind of like a Danny Trejo version, because he was Bane. He voiced out Bane in the cartoons, one of the cartoon movies. But I was having fun out there with the kids. But I wore that to the club, and fucking people liked it at the club too. But I want the other Bane costume, the one from the movie, with the fucking evil mouth on it. And they make that thing, but it's kind of a cheap version. And then there's a French guy on Etsy that makes a kit that's a lot more movie accurate, that you have to assemble and paint. You have to wait a long time for it. It costs a little bit more, but it's just like it was in the movie. I think I might get that one because I have time. You know? I have time till next year. Because if I'm gonna do Bane, it's gonna look fucking badass. It's gonna look.
Well,
real
see,
good.
that's the thing. If I'm gonna do werewolf, like because we were talking about,
right,
then I'm gonna have to start like.
You have to start doing it now.
Planning like right now.
I have to start planning the fucking in January, because that's gonna be several $100s worth of stuff to get together, and I don't want to lay all that out at once and be pressed for time, you know. But that's probably a $400 or $500 costume. Because I need those fucking combat pants that he has, which I know where to get that stuff. Because I'm going to do the Bane mercenary outfit. It's going to look good.
Glenn Little said, that's a great idea. I always believed creativity makes people well-rounded. I know I sound like a pretentious prick, but it's true. No, I do.
That's the way it is.
Yeah, I feel like people need skills, or you need to like create something, make something. Even if it's not, it doesn't have to be like a super big deal or anything like that. But I always feel like you need some kind of like creative outlet, or it's good for your like mental health. Yeah,
skills and variety of skills gives you a greater connection to the Force.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It allows you to channel the Force better. Life energy. You know, that's Nietzschean philosophy. You know, the will, fucking to harness the will. But no, I already have the artistic skills for it, and a lot of the dexterity and stuff. I just need the tools. But no, because I've already made stuff like that before.
Yeah.
So there's nothing compared to mechanics. You know, building engines and shit. A lot of mathematics involved, and fucking gauges and understanding of how systems work with each other. Artistic skills like making ballistic armor and fucking outfits and stuff. You know, that's not as precise, but still, you have to have good execution or it looks cheap.
Yeah.
This shit's got to look like it's the real thing. And I was looking at some of this other stuff that guys have made handcrafted, like handcrafted leather Viking armor. That's better than anything out of any factory. What they were doing. A factory couldn't make that. They had a guy, I was showing Jenny, he was making just wallets. He was just showing tools, but the wallets he was making with all this multicolored leather looked better than any Coach bag or any Gucci. It was like at that level.
Well, and like I said, if you just made each unique piece, like you could charge a premium for that, because it's like that's the only one that's like that.
Yeah, it wasn't designer, but he had it in his studio, and you looked at it, just beautiful leather.
They were really nice.
Real beautiful. And his color combinations were just great, you know. It looked like Like something you pay $1,000 for.
Well, yeah, shit. I'm always like really into people that do stuff like that. Like they can like make stuff out of leather or whatever it is. It's just kind of like, you know, you can write songs, you can like decorate cakes, you can do like all that kind of stuff. Like it's whatever it is. It's like good to have like creative skills like that. It really does kind of like keep you sane in a lot of ways. Gramthars said if you rented a kiosk at the Orlando Mall, you could sell leather cell phone and cigarette holsters with designs on them. Old people love that shit and will pay top dollar for custom-made products.
Maybe.
They probably would. I don't know. Like, I don't know about the mall. I don't think that would be the best thing.
No,
but...
our malls here are fucking dead. Well, they're
except for Altamont.
They're low income.
That's actually like pretty crowded.
Yeah. Altamont's. The thing is that they're low income. The people that are in there. There's one mall here. So they're not gonna spend a lot of money. They don't have the money. There was one mall here though that Dan Bell did.
That was in Miami.
It was in Miami, and you had to be rich to be in that mall. They had models walking around, fucking showing these fucking gowns. You could smoke in there. They were fucking selling. They had Bugattis outside, and fucking koi ponds and shit. He said even the koi were snotty. You looked at them.
That's like I love. That's my favorite Dan Bell video.
Even the koi were snotty. Little big old fish. Fuck you. Yeah. He said that whole, and it was.
It was like an open air mall too, which is crazy.
But they made it in a way to where you could have pouring down rain and it would still be dry.
Yeah, you'd still like stay dry.
Yeah.
It was funny because there was like a tropical depression.
And they were serving alcohol and smoking out there, and there's just an international.
It was very French, yeah.
Very French and international. A lot of Middle Easterners, and South Americans, super rich South Americans. And he was looking at what was it? It was a jewelry store, and wasn't that watch like $9,000?
No, I think it was more than that.
More than that, $20,000.
I thought it was more than that even.
Was even more? Okay.
Yeah. I don't even remember, but it was like
more than a sports car. Yeah, it was a $40,000 watch, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He looked at, and they just handed it to him.
He's like, "Hey, look at it."
Yeah.
Zach says, "I still think it'd be funny if you guys dressed as normies for Halloween one year. I mean, you look like Halloween basically every other day." I don't. Well, the thing about it is, like, one, I think
disappear.
You would just look like everybody else, and two, I'm not really sure I'd know how to look like a normal person.
Yeah.
When I tried before, like for job interviews and stuff, it didn't go so well. I'm not really good at that kind of thing. Tammy said, I could see Tom in a polo shirt and khakis.
Here's the thing. If I dress like that, it doesn't look like a costume.
Right.
And it don't look like me anymore, and it's just like it's not as impactful as you think.
Right. Yeah, it only works if like people know you.
No, yeah.
Like the only like our friend Shauna dressed up as like a normal person one year, but she did like a little bit of a retro thing.
Yeah, she was like a hot black chick from the 70s.
From the 70s, so it was a little bit of a retro vibe.
So, yeah.
But I think it was funnier because we knew her.
Right.
And so that's what was funny because when she came in, I was like, holy shit, like I didn't even recognize her at first. But it's like if you didn't know her, it probably wouldn't be that funny. Right. But it was funny because we know her, and that's not what she looks like.
Although, you know what? Talking about this custom-made shit, now that I think about it, me making that Bane armor. If I were to do some really cool custom shit, I would do something like... What you doing, Pokey?
What the fuck?
What the fuck are you doing?
What is she doing?
I don't know. She climbed up something, but I can't see her.
I can't see her either. Where are you at, Poke?
I would make some, like, custom AR-500 and carbon-based fucking ballistic armor that would be real. I know everything about all that kind of stuff. It would cost a lot of money, though. It'd be something that would be bulletproof. But who would want something like that? See, that's the thing. It would have to... There aren't any superheroes out there.
That we know of.
That we know of, you know what I mean? But fucking... I could make something like that for myself.
Thank you, Jeffy Art. Super broke this week. I hope you guys enjoyed T-Day. We did.
Thank you.
Yeah, we ate a lot. Well, we didn't eat a lot, but, you know, a lot for us. Gramthars said, 10 years ago, I paid $100 for a leather wallet from the Will Leather Company out of Eugene, Oregon. It still looks as good as new.
Yeah.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so see, that was only $10 a year.
Yeah.
So far.
Well, they have a bunch of different grades of leather, and some stuff just doesn't age. Some of it's shitty, some of it's fucking great. And, okay, well, here's the thing. I have a pair of fucking Matterhorn boots. that the Army issued me, special issue up in Korea, and they're a Arctic.
Oh,
you were in there. Okay.
She was in the cabin.
She was in the cabin.
I wondered where, because we kept
went.
hearing noises over there. I'm like, I can't see her though. I know she's up to something. She was in the cabinet fucking around.
They issued those things to me in 1991. I walked all over Korea for them for a year. They were in fucking hard service, and they're an extreme cold weather leather boot. Afterwards, I gave them to my dad, and he wore them all the time fucking deer hunting. He gave them back to me. They still look brand new. Those things are fucking 35 years old. Still look pretty much brand new. Because everything on it it was real leather. So everything could be re-dyed, repolished. The soles were so high quality, they wore only a little bit. There's footwear out there made in the 1920s that you could put on right now. And fucking... and go out
and just walk down the street
and do military service in them, because they were not really synthetic materials. They were, you know what I mean, they were fucking natural materials, and they wear real well, and they used really good stitching, and fucking they were semi-handmade. It lasts for a long fucking time, or it can be repaired if it doesn't.
In a way, I kind of feel like that's one of the shitty things about, you know, me, like, personally, like, growing up poor and stuff like that, is that, you know, just, you know, from a general standpoint, that it's better to, like, buy something that's expensive that'll last for a really long time. But when you don't have a lot of money, it's like, man, I don't have the money to drop $200, $300, like, on a really good pair of shoes, even if they will last, you know, however many years. You don't have the money at that point, so you keep having to buy like these cheap ass like $10, $20 pairs of shoes, and then like in a year you have to buy another pair. But it's like, you know, generally like the more you pay for stuff, well, not always, because sometimes you're just paying for the name and stuff.
In this other room over here, I have a 1941 naval officer's long coat made out of wool. It's black, from World War II. It weighs about 10 pounds. All right. 1941, and it looks brand new. That thing's probably worth hundreds of dollars. Have I showed you that?
I don't remember ever seeing that now.
No.
How can that have been in this house all this time and like I never saw it?
I'll go get it.
Oh, you're gonna go get it?
I'll go get it, yeah.
Well, hey, Blaster One said Jenny always looking cool. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And let's see. Blaster One said also said getting better. Fell off a roof. Holy shit. Broke my wrist, tore my rotator cuff, and had 19 staples in my head. God damn it. That's terrible. I mean, you know. At least you're kind of alright. That sucks. Camp Guy said, my old man had some black leather military gloves he got in the army. They are shells? I can't read that. And the inside part of the glove is wool fabric liner, olive green. He also used his army boots for decades after he left the army. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, if you spend a lot, we were talking about that before when we were talking about like goth boots, and we were talking about like
on 2 hangers because look how heavy it is.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I remember you showing me that. I didn't realize it was that old though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I gotcha. Too bad it never gets cold enough here to wear
Never
that.
gets cold enough to wear it, but we got that cold in Boston, though.
Well, yeah, but like I said,
okay, look,
it's 75 fucking degrees outside right now, and it's almost 8 o'clock.
I think it's got the guy's name in it.
Does it really?
Where's the light? Shit, man.
I don't know. I can't see that.
Let me go get the...
It's too dark.
I think it was 1941.
Oh, yeah. I can't see it.
Had to put it on 2 hangers.
You gonna put that shit on? And he's like, he's like already. Oh my god, that's so hot. See, that's fucking cool looking. Look at that shit. That's goth as shit, especially with those boots and stuff. Yeah. You should wear that out. You'd die.
It's too fucking hot.
I was gonna say you'd die. Anyway. Like I said, it's 8 o'clock at night and it's 75 degrees still. Yeah. It was hot today. It was in the 80s. We had some nicer weather like last week. We had a couple days where it only got up in the 50s or 60s in the day, but yeah, that didn't last. Today it was, I think, 85, 80, something like that. Something like that. I wish it would cool off, but, you know. Yeah, Hugo said, awesome coat, Nosferatu style. It is. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks like the Nosferatu coat. Weird. He was, he has, like, a bunch of, like, coats that he used to wear out because he was, like, reminiscing about, a video, like, our friend Matt, like, sent us this video that was of us, but it was, like, 10 years ago, I think. And Tom's like, man, look how cool we looked back then. And, like, the jacket that he had on, he was like, I don't even know if I can wear that anymore because, like, you know, his arms and stuff are much bigger now because of the workout and stuff. But he tried it on last night, and actually it fits even better than it did back then, you know? Zach says, God damn, I want a coat like that. I know, that's awesome. Like I said, it's way too hot down here to wear that. Like, wool, you would fucking die. You would keel over of heat stroke within, like, an hour of wearing that. It looks awesome, though. If we went somewhere cold, he could wear it. Blaster One said, don't want to meet Tom in a back alley with that on. Yeah, that's how that's going to go. I think that he showed me that coat before, or I remember seeing it in the closet, but I didn't realize that it was that old, I think is what it was. And I didn't realize that it was actually wool. I don't even, it's kind of depressing because I don't have any wool coats, obviously, but I have a bunch of really cool, like, goth coats. I have, like, a couple of velvet ones, but it's just, you can never wear them. We can never wear them. It's just way too fucking hot down here. Like, even if it's kind of cold out, like, you wear it for an hour or two, and then everybody's like, yeah, I gotta take this off. Zach says, I have a show topic suggestion, by the way. Disastrous Movie Productions was watching a show about Heaven's Gate and how it basically killed United Artists in the 80s. That actually might be an interesting show. Like, because there were some times where, like, just one movie kind of, like, sunk a whole fucking studio. So that might be something interesting to do. So I'll take that under advisement. Camp Guy said, my grandfather left me a coat like that, all pure cashmere. I think it may have some moth damage. Also, I'm too big for it. Yeah, I didn't... How hot was that fucking coat when you put it on?
Well, it takes a while. It's wool.
That's what I'm saying.
So, you know, I wore that shit sub-zero out in Boston all the time and took it to New York. Last time I went to New York, and had one of the construction guy goes, man, that's a badass coat. And I said, it's 1942 or 1941. And he goes, God, yeah, they don't make nothing like that no more. God, that's a badass coat. Because you look at it and you go, they don't make things like that anymore.
Zach said it looked like Nosferatu.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, it does kind of.
If they make something like that now, that's a couple $1,000s worth of fucking coat. That's what that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laster One said, you done anything on Dennis Nielsen? Yeah, we did a show about him. It was a while back, though, I kind of feel like. We did a show about him, right? It was a couple years ago, probably.
Zach says, God damn, want a coat like that. Blaster says, don't want to meet Tom in a back alley with that gat on.
With that on.
With that on, okay. Yeah.
I figured it out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Blaster went to the English version of Dahmer. Yeah, Dennis Nielsen was essentially like, and they caught him, fun fact, because he was flushing little bits of people down the toilet, and it, like, clogged up the toilet, and all the other people in the building were complaining.
Yeah.
Remember that? We did a show.
Dumbass.
We did a show about that fucking.
Didn't know how plumbing worked.
Either that, or he was just it's just like, I'm just gonna flush it down the toilet, and it'll be gone.
It'll be all right.
I'm like, that has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, and also, like, I think when they came up there, he was still had some people in, like, some dead people in his, like, fucking wardrobe and stuff.
Yeah, rotting away.
Yeah, and didn't he have, like, some fucking? Did he have, like, fucking? It's not funny, but it's like, didn't he have some fucking? What do they call it? Like, fucking scent. What are those things called?
I don't know. Fucking air freshener.
Air freshener. There you go. That's what I was trying to think of. Well, like the air fresheners in there.
That was England, you know, and he was in a city in a built up area. Those are not country people. They don't know how to deal with, like, you know, cleaning deer and dealing with fucking, you know, meat processing. You know, if you make a kill on some venison, you know, so I guess they let things rot. They don't know how to cut things into pieces.
Or he just liked having it in there.
I don't think so.
Because, like I said, Dahmer likes to keep the bodies around.
Yeah, maybe. But the smell, I just can't understand it. You know, it's rotting. You know. Look. I used to be able to take... My dad bought me a little skinning knife. It was called an old timer. And it was about a 3.5-inch blade that was curved.
Don't give people any ideas.
No, I'm just telling you the facts of life. It was a little 3-inch curved blade that came to a point. And with that little skinning knife, you can render an entire deer, 70, 80-pound deer, down into nice little fillets and pieces and not get any blood anywhere in the kitchen. And, yeah, you had to work outside a little bit. You had to field dress a deer to get the guts out of it when you were out there. But that's nothing. If you had to do that in a house, it wouldn't be if you're an organized person who understands things, you could do that in a house and not spill a drop of blood, not make any money.
Yeah, but if you were an organized person who did that, you wouldn't be a serial killer, would you?
I guess not. I guess
so. It's a moot point.
They're trying to make it some kind of a macabre fucking thing, or they just don't have the skills and they let things rot. And no, you could take a body just with a little tiny sharp blade and render it into nice little pieces and have it all packaged up, and it's not morbid or anything, and take it out little by little, and not make a mess.
They rarely do that, though.
But for some reason, they don't seem to be able to do that.
Well, like I said, because they're serial killers. If they had their shit together, they wouldn't be serial killers,
right, yeah.
would they?
You're right.
Duh. That's why. They're not thinking right.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like giving them these pro tips, it's really not helping because it's like...
Stone Age man would take little pieces of flint that were like the size of a fucking silver dollar or fucking obsidian, little fucking glass, and 4 or 5 guys would take an elephant and or a big old bison and just render it down to nothing in a short period of time, without any running water or anything, and they're eating it and sharing it, and it's nothing really macabre, really. It's just you get used to it.
Laster once said I found a samurai sword in a roof space we renovated. Wow.
It may have not have been
it's
a real
old
samurai.
And needs restoration, but okay. Maybe
Well, a lot of times
find all kind of cool shit.
A lot of times guys brought those back from the Second World War. I don't know what country he's in. I guess it must be the United States. A lot of guys brought them back. But another thing is that they made a lot of copies, too. So, a lot of times they'd have a handle on there, and it was all wrapped up with shark skin, and depending on if it was a good one or not. And then underneath there'll be a bunch of markings to tell you who made it. But I wouldn't recommend messing with it at all unless you give it to an expert. But then an expert would probably know exactly what it is and what it was worth before they even took it apart. You can just take pictures of it and fucking post it in certain places. Guys will probably tell you what it is.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What, did you expect me to say something else?
Well, I'm never sure.
Japanese stuff in general from the Second World War is not really worth all that much. It used to not be worth anything. I think it's gone up a little bit, but the pistols aren't worth much. The rifles, Arisaka rifles aren't worth much. There's very few of them that are worth anything. World War II Japanese swords aren't worth all that much, for last I heard. Old stuff is, but not the World War II stuff.
Yeah, I get it. All right, so it's getting to be past 8, and I probably have to start getting ready.
Okay.
Because we're going to go out to Memento Mori this evening, and we have to leave in about an hour and a half, so I need some time to get ready. Probably, should we have a sandwich or something before we
you want some? I'll make you some.
All right. I wouldn't mind just a sandwich or something. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. So we'll be back on Sunday, and we'll be talking about a movie. We don't know which one yet because we haven't watched it. I don't know if we're going to... Maybe we'll continue the Universal stuff because I just put up the Creature from the Black Lagoon review earlier today. So we've been having fun doing those. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do another one of those, or maybe we'll do some Hammer. I'm not really sure. Whatever we figure out. We'll talk about that on Sunday. So you guys have a good rest of your evening and have a good day tomorrow. And we'll be back again on Sunday, and we'll see you guys then. So good night.